Habit just put his big head. Darryl will have a habit. Just put his wait. Last night I forget. I forgot what shit I'm going to send that to when man is speaking on camera. They forgot camera use now. So it'll be easier. So we just put that one fix on. So we have to tell me now this one go back and forth. So I use that one to thing. And then we put that one fix. When we come back we just switch it.
And we're not going to break.
No one just coming in.
Oh.
I didn't break because you had just less. I remember you wasn't. You had to come back like chicken shit. Serious was fucking clash.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh, it's cold. So when you feeling cold, when the man's feeling cold, he said he couldn't there before.
Yeah, well, you had to run for that last night. Huh?
Okay.
Almighty God, who, in thy infinite wisdom and providential goodness, hast appointed the offices of rulers and councils for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in thy presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Good morning. House resumes. And debate continues.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this budget of $854 million presented by our Prime Minister and the Labour Party administration. Madam Speaker, it is indeed clear that the Minister for Finance and the Dominican Labour Party is getting better and better in his budget presentation every year, Madam Speaker. And it's because of what the Labour Party stands for. And when I listen to the member for Portsmouth, I know being in Mau is doing very well. This is so because the Labour Party is about people's development, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I listened with interest to the presentation, Madam Speaker, of the Leader of the Opposition, member for Marigot. A presentation, Madam Speaker, loaded with syllables and open-ended language, with no specific recommendation to grow the major sectors of this economy, Madam Speaker. What a shame. And when I listened to the numerous speakers from the other side, creating the impression, Madam Speaker, that the country is going down, the government is wasting money, nothing in the budget for the people of Dominica, mismanagement of the finances of the state, Madam Speaker. It reminds me of my grandmother's old saying, "C'est pas très mignon qui mordra," Madam Speaker. Let me explain in English terms. So, Madam Speaker, I think as we move into a more modern...
No. You first have to translate and then you explain.
Madam Speaker, it's a simple figurative expression used by all
just the translation for now.
What means, Madam Speaker, one does not have to literally take a knife or a stone or a stick to kill somebody for it to be construed figuratively as a murderous act, Madam Speaker. Is that good enough, Madam Speaker? Thank you very much.
I guess.
Madam Speaker, how can you stand in this honorable house? And it's the first time, Madam Speaker, any reasonable person who listened to the presentation of the Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance, Madam Speaker, will come to the rational conclusion that since the attainment of our independence in 1978, it is the first time that a Labour Party administration or any administration and a Minister for Finance has presented a budget to this nation, Madam Speaker. 2 years after one of the most devastating tropical storms, Madam Speaker, which washed away almost 99% of the gross domestic product, and to come to present the budget, Madam Speaker, with $400 million surplus in the bank, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that is a sign of an economy and a country that is ascending, not descending, Madam Speaker. Yeah. And together, with the measures contained in this budget, we together, Madam Speaker, will realize that promise us prosperity and to make Dominica a more modern society, to restore this country as a place of hope for all, Madam Speaker. That is what we're all about, Madam Speaker. C'est pas chez mon yon qui m'adora, Madam Speaker.
You need to translate again.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I'll translate again. I think as we move to a more modern Dominica, we have to start to use Patois and Karinago language as official. So when I say something like that, or the member for the Karinago territory says, ma brika, all of us know what you're talking about, Madam Speaker. But having said that, I'll translate, Madam Speaker.
The member, you still have to translate, because until you members in here who have the power to change the standing orders to allow Creole and Kalinago, Carifuna language, you will have to do what is necessary. So it's in your hands. If you don't want to do it, there's nothing I can do about it other than to tell you. Translate, please.
Mabrika. Madam Speaker, one does not have to...
Mabrika, translate,
you tell me about it. Madam Speaker.
Just... Greetings. Okay, right. Okay.
Okay. Don't laugh. Greetings, Madam Speaker. Good morning. Mabrika. Madam Speaker, one does not have to literally kill someone with a stick or a stone or a bench to be construed figuratively.
Killing me softly with his song.
Madam Speaker, how can someone stand in this honorable house and say that there's nothing in this budget when we have taken the income tax threshold from $25,000 to $40,000, and in practical terms, as of January 2018, 1,043 working Dominicans will not be paying income tax, Madam Speaker. How can you say there's nothing in the budget? It's not literally taking a stick or a stone and killing somebody to be construed figuratively as a murderous act. C'est pas très mignon qui murder, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it hurts me that when the leader for the opposition spoke, everybody was clapping because they said there's nothing in this country for the people of this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my mother died of breast cancer. So I can identify with families the pain that they go through, Madam Speaker, and the tremendous amount of financial resources they have to put into the treatment of the loved one, Madam Speaker. So when the Prime Minister uses his good self, and of course, Madam Speaker, triggered by what the Labour Party stands for, puts in $5 million, Madam Speaker, so that cancer patients can get their medicine, Madam Speaker, at no cost to the family and themselves. How can you say there's nothing in the budget for the people of this country? How cold, Madam Speaker? And I'm happy that Senator Baptist just walked in. Because when he spoke, Madam Speaker, he was beating his chest. And he said there was money in the budget when the Workers' Party, in the government coffers, when the Labour Party left office. There was money to build all the streets in Roso. There was money to fix all the kues in Roso, Madam Speaker. Kue means alleys, Madam Speaker. There was money, Madam Speaker, to build international airport. There was money to do so many things. The only thing he forgot that there was no money for was to pay the millions of dollars that they owe Social Security for the contribution of the poor workers of this country, Madam Speaker. Magwisa, Madam Speaker. And he forgot the millions of dollars of unpaid checks to the private sector. And he also forgot, Madam Speaker, the millions of dollars they owed the Dominica Banners Association, but they were so liquid. And he also forgot, Madam Speaker, that they left plenty money to construct a new national hospital for the people of this country, Madam Speaker. He forgot all that. And continue, Madam Speaker. The member for Marigot and the senator Baptist, spoke about wasting of money, Madam Speaker. How the Labour Party administration continues to waste money. Madam Speaker, when a Minister for Finance comes to this honorable House and to present a budget of this magnitude, taking into consideration the amount of money we have spent to restore this country post-Erica, and taking into account, Madam Speaker, over $100 million has been spent to relocate the people of P7, and we have contracted no loans in the last financial year cycle. How can you say that we're mismanaging the economy? According to the 3 times Calypso King of Dominica, King Hunter, Carl, you're joking, Carl, you're joking. You're joking, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 3 years ago, the Labour Party again, embracing this mantra of people development, launched a very impressive old age pension for persons who worked on the farm, fishermen, those who broke macadam, or grandfathers, or aunts, etc., Madam Speaker. And some of them children, they're not supporting this Labour Party administration, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, as of month end, 2,568 Dominicans are benefiting from this $300 a month for old age pension. How can you say you're wasting money, Madam Speaker? And then, when the member for Roso Central sits in this honorable House and accepts that we're wasting money for such a major intervention, the old age pension, and 281 residents of Roso are benefiting from that, how can you say that we're wasting money, Isaac? C'est pas true, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. And then the member for Salisbury, Madam Speaker. 81 persons in Salisbury benefiting from that, but yet we are wasting money. So I guess, Madam Speaker, we should take away the money from the people of Salisbury, take away the money from the people from Roso. Now in Wesley, 77 residents of Wesley benefiting from that, Madam Speaker. In Woodford Hill, 31 people benefiting from that. How can you stand here and say that we're wasting money? And, Madam Speaker, it gets more exciting. The economy was buoyant under the Workers' Party. Money was flowing for so. But, yes, money was making money. Money was making money. But after the devastating of this economy by Erica, this country has not borrowed 1 cent to pay salaries at commercial rates. That is our legacy, Isaac. Member for Roso Central. And having said that, when we come to this honorable House and present a budget, and when you look at this line item, Madam Speaker, insofar as our debt ratio to our gross domestic product, 66% on contracted debt. Now, Madam Speaker, and you compare that, Madam Speaker, to 141% in 1999 and 2000, how can you say we're mismanaging the economy? This is a sign of a country that's ascending, not descending, Madam Speaker. And, Madam Speaker, the list goes on, and it goes on, Madam Speaker. The member for Roso Central sits in this honorable House and accept the fact, because, Madam Speaker, as we speak, approximately 30 persons benefit from medicines to treat cancer at the General Central stores at the hospital. And you know, some people are very private about the illness, and so in that regard, they're not going to come forward. The persons who come forward are because they don't have the money and they need the help, Madam Speaker. This Labour Party will not leave them in the cold, Madam Speaker. We shall help them. That is what the Labour Party is all about, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just don't get it, Madam Speaker. And when I listen, Madam Speaker, can I go to my back to get something, Madam Speaker? Sorry about that, I'll get something from my back. Madam Speaker, you heard Senator Baptist spoke about buoyancy in the economy. And you heard before him, he's not there today, member for Roso South. He spoke about VAT. He spoke about VAT as if to say that VAT just emerged. But the Workers' Party in 1999 intended to institute a VAT regime of taxes of 18%, Madam Speaker. And we talk about the buoyancy in the economy, Madam Speaker. Number one, Madam Speaker, when you look at the way the Workers' Party budget speech was packaged, look at that. Listen, look at that. It reminds me that when I used to study in Canada, I used to come back before I had my Canadian license. I used to ask for an international driver's license. And the book they used to give you, that is the 1995, 96 budget presentation of the Workers' Party. Look at it. Even the packaging tells you a sad story, Madam Speaker. Now, if all the buoyancy that he speaks about, Madam Speaker, I want to refer to put on the light frame, please, Doc. I want to refer, Madam Speaker, to page 3, Madam Speaker, the second paragraph of the 1995-96 budget presentation by the Workers' Party. During 1994, the performance of the economy was sluggish, Madam Speaker, was sluggish with GDP growth estimated only 1.8%, Madam Speaker, compared with 2.1% in 1993. And it says further, for the fourth consecutive year, the growth rate has fallen below the average 4.4%, Madam Speaker, achieved in 1986, 1990. Those are the only period, because of the buoyancy in the banana sector, that the economy performed within 5%, Madam Speaker. And it goes on to say further, the evidence of lack of buoyancy, that's what he's saying, you know. The evidence of lack of buoyancy, Madam Speaker, in Dominica's economic performance is due to part of the poor performances of the banana industry, Madam Speaker. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. 1995-96 was a presentation. And Madam Speaker, no, Madam Speaker, let's know, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, then we go now, Madam Speaker. It becomes very interesting. Because somebody told me, 1998, yeah. 1998 was a presentation, Madam Speaker. 98. No, it's a Workers' Party. You have to embrace it, lie down by it, and kiss it, Madam Speaker. Is that all? All right. Madam Speaker, now, don't forget I'm from Maui, so don't tackle me. I'm from West, okay? Madam Speaker, you go, 1998 was a presentation. Page 43, Madam Speaker, on the last paragraph. Madam Speaker, there appears to be no quick fix solution to the sluggish growth rates, Madam Speaker, that have characterized the economic performance for the last decade. That's what they're saying in 1998 as justification for the poor performance of the economy. But somebody warned me last night and told me, do not listen to Isaac, Baptist senator, because he normally drinks a couple of glasses of whiskey before he comes to the house, Madam Speaker.
I don't think that is parliamentary.
I take it back very quickly, Madam Speaker. Quickly. Madam Speaker.
Are you offended by my defending you? I hope not.
No, I withdraw
okay.
quickly, Madam Speaker. Rapid speed, Madam Speaker. Listen, rapid speed. Rapid speed. All right. And Madam Speaker, Senator Baptist was batting, man. He was batting. He had energy, man. You know, but you could have seen the characteristic smile on his face. He was not speaking the truth. He did not even believe what he was saying because he knew it was fake, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, he continues. And he says, Madam Speaker, when some new measures bear fruit, some other negative counterbalances it. That is what they spoke about. In 1998, 3.5 years into the governance of this country by the Workers' Party, making excuses. We're not making excuses. We are coming in with concrete intervention to move this economy, Madam Speaker. And in 1999, I would have liked to have seen the member for Roso South there, because he's a lawyer. And a lawyer is a trained person. When you're trained, like he's a trained man, you making joke. But when it comes to serious discussion, you have to justify what you're saying with facts. Isn't that so? There has to be empirical data to back what you're saying. You see? Now, Madam Speaker, in 1999, June 16, 1999, again, for packaging, you scared to put blue, you put yellow, that's what we call it. Because they know they were going to lose the election, so put yellow. No. But can I get a copy of copies of our budget speeches, Madam Speaker? Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, compare that with the pocketbook. What the first one? That. You see, chalk and cheese, Madam Speaker. The Labour Party is about class. This is the budget presentation of the Workers' Party in 1995-96. Look at our own, what was it? 2017, 2016. Class, Madam Speaker, class. What? Madam Speaker, now, Senator, the member for Roso South spoke about VAT. As if to say VAT is the worst thing that we have seen in this country. But hear what they said in 1999 on page 23 of their budget presentation. The third paragraph. I must reiterate, Madam Speaker, that the introduction of a value-added tax is not intended to increase the tax burden on taxpayers, but instead to simplify and improve the efficiency of the tax collection mechanism, as well as to shift the incidence of taxation away from production to consumption, Madam Speaker. The Workers' Party who said that, all of them, now they only blame our good friend team. But all on, hold it, kiss it, slip by it, all on. What are you afraid of it for? So when you heard Mr. Isaac Baptist, Senator Isaac Baptist, and my good friend from Roso South, who said what he wanted and he disappeared, don't clap. Go and verify for yourself, because you cannot rely on what they're saying, Madam Speaker. Something is very, very wrong. Fundamentally wrong to Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, permit me to shift to the Ministry of Justice, Immigration and National Security. Madam Speaker, I want to commend the Minister for Trade, and I want to equally commend the Minister for Foreign Affairs, because he put everything to rest on this very important issue. And then what Mr. Baptist is not saying, insofar as hydro is concerned, he must also make reference to the study that was done by the European firm, the British firm, on the respective rivers insofar as the capacity is concerned. Because you have to be able to, to hold the water captive, to impound the water, Madam Speaker. I wonder did the study, it's only 2 rivers that had 1%, 1 megawatt potential. So it would be a waste of resources and a waste of time, Madam Speaker, to embark on hydro. You see? So what you must do, Madam Speaker, is to refer to the relevant studies, Madam Speaker, as a cross-reference for your debate, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I want to say something about the intervention made by the leader of the opposition on the security and integrity of our passport issuing system, Madam Speaker. And I want the members on the other side to start writing. When this Labour Party came into office, our passports were issued. And all it took was somebody in the Department of Immigration with a good handwriting to physically inscribe the names on our passport, exposed to all potential fraud-related issues. It was the Labour Party administration who made our passport ICAO compliant, Madam Speaker. And we introduced the machine-readable passports. And as a consequence, Madam Speaker, we were not denied entry into the major centers, Madam Speaker, of the world. And to date, Madam Speaker, our passport meet or international obligations, Madam Speaker, and standards. Having said that, I want to inform this Honorable House. We in this Labour Party administration shall take the security of a passport even further by introducing very soon, Madam Speaker, biometric passport, Madam Speaker, with proper security features, Madam Speaker, with fingerprints, etc., among other things. Madam Speaker, as I speak with you, a cabinet paper has already been developed in that regard. We are ready to take this country to a more modern state, Madam Speaker. So, the member for Marigot is not there. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice, Immigration and National Security will continue to work towards fulfilling its requirements and mandate insofar as keeping this country safe, just, and peaceful, Madam Speaker. The Registry Department, Madam Speaker. In this budget, Madam Speaker, we are making provision to expand the building. And in this regard, the final designs with estimates have been done by the Ministry of Public Works, Madam Speaker. We are now issuing our birth certificates on secured paper, Madam Speaker, electronically, Madam Speaker. And come by the end of this month, all birth certificates will be issued the same day, Madam Speaker, in this country, Madam Speaker. And I've given further direction and instruction that in 2017, before the end of 2017, that we shall decentralize the issuing system insofar as birth certificate is concerned. It makes no sense for the people of Carib in Penville and the people in Bonn and Portsmouth to come right down into Roso just to get a birth certificate. Let us start issuing birth certificates in the second town of Portsmouth before the year end, Madam Speaker. That's what we're all about, Madam Speaker. And for the year under review, Madam Speaker, the registry issued 1,240, Madam Speaker, certificates of titles, processed and signed, Madam Speaker. 1,147 caveats, Madam Speaker, processed. 464 applications for first title, processed, Madam Speaker. I go to the magistrate court. It's the first time in the history of this country we have the full complement of magistrates, Madam Speaker, with 8 magistrates sitting on the bench, Madam Speaker, thereby ensuring better access to the justice system in this country. For the first time, the office of the DPP is fully staffed with lawyers, and we have provided the software where lawyers, Madam Speaker, can go online and research cases to get them better prepared to represent the state. I want to commend, Madam Speaker, the Permanent Secretary, all the way down to the junior clerks working in this ministry, Madam Speaker. It's very challenging for the support thus far. I also want to commend the officers within the FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, Madam Speaker. Much has been said about money laundering. The FIU continues to meet its international obligation and execute its function effectively and well, pursuant, Madam Speaker, to the Money Laundering Prevention Act and the Proceeds of Crime Act, among other relevant legal instruments, Madam Speaker. And they're doing well. And I want to really commend officers in the drug squad, the custom officers, all working in concert with the FIU to track down and to hold on resources coming from the proceeds of a crime. And in that regard, Madam Speaker, for the year under review, to date, on the Asset Forfeiture Fund, we have $2.2 million, Madam Speaker. And as of the 14th of this month, pending the expiration of the period for appeal, we shall have an additional $550,000, bringing it to a record number $2.8 million, Madam Speaker, at the disposal of the state. And we shall use that money to reinvest in our law enforcement effort, Madam Speaker. So we're seeing dividends. And thus far, you have various types of properties currently before the court, ranging from houses, land, vehicles, among other things, Madam Speaker. So the work is going on. You cannot come in therefore and say we do nothing to fight money laundering. When we came into office, we were blacklisted, you know. It is we who took Dominica out of the blacklist. And going further, Madam Speaker, the police. Madam Speaker, I said it before, but I want to say it again for emphasis. No other government in the history of this country has done more for the police than the Labour Party administration, Madam Speaker. For the year under review, this government, with the good self and support of the Prime Minister and our cabinet colleagues, procured 12 new vehicles for the police. And for this new financial year, drawing from what I just spoke about on the Asset Forfeiture Fund, pending the approval of the Minister of Finance, we shall make available 11 additional vehicles for the police, Madam Speaker. And we have started the process of designing a new building, Madam Speaker, in Roso, to house a minimum of 200 police officers. And we shall reconstruct the existing building in Roso, Madam Speaker, for the police officers. For the year under review, the two main barracks at Mumbrus were totally refurbished. We have started the design, and there's money in the estimate for the construction of a new building to house the training school. Madam Speaker, for the period 1915 to 1916, we saw a reduction in what we characterize as indictable crimes, serious offenses, of 6.6%. But for that period, Madam Speaker, we only had 9 murders. So far, we have 13. We have to be very much concerned about that. Having said that, I want to commend the police chief and his officers for having an almost 90% detection rate, Madam Speaker, insofar as murder is concerned. And I think that is remarkable, Madam Speaker, when compared to other countries, Madam Speaker. Having said that, 1 murder is too many. My concern, and concern for most of us ministers for national security within the CARICOM catchment, is the issue of illegal guns and cocaine. What we have in, Madam Speaker, is a serious cross-fertilization of crime. Because the criminals who deal in illegal firearms are the same folks who deal in the trafficking of cocaine. And once you have illegal firearms, you have shooting, which may result in killing. In 2015, Madam Speaker, in 2016, the police took off the street 44 illegal firearms and 1,137 rounds of ammunition, Madam Speaker, as compared to 26 and 347 for the previous year. It tells you that there are many illegal guns on the street. Having said that, through the request of the Minister for National Security, the police has presented a plan to rid the street of illegal firearms. Having said that, Madam Speaker, you may recall in 2007, this Labour Party administration, recognizing the potential danger posed by illegal firearms, launched a program, a gun amnesty program. And persons were asked to bring in the firearms without fear of being prosecuted. Few did so. We went to Parliament and repealed the existing Firearms Act and enacted new legislation with much more stringent sentences. Upon summary conviction, the magistrate has the option to fine and confine both. But we cannot dictate to the court as to how to go about sitting on the bench, Madam Speaker. But I think, Madam Speaker, all of us, there has to be consensus that the possession of illegal firearm is a serious offense, that taking human life is a serious offense, Madam Speaker, and therefore all relevant parties should work in concert to ensure that when somebody is convicted for illegal firearm, that the sentence suit the crime, Madam Speaker, is important. Madam Speaker, having said that, the police has to continue, will continue to embark on an effective community policing program. There has to be this concert between the public and the police for the express purpose of reducing and preventing crime. And we have been able to put in place a bike unit of 14 men so that we can place more emphasis on the enforcement of our traffic regulation, Madam Speaker. There are too many what we call scooters posing a nuisance on this road and causing a danger to public safety, Madam Speaker. And that issue has to be dealt with frontally, Madam Speaker. On the issue, Madam Speaker, of training, the process has begun, the vetting process has begun for the training of 41 additional police officers. I would like to see a police force with a strength of 600 officers, Madam Speaker, to deal effectively with matters related to security and law enforcement in this country. Because somebody has a right to enjoy the comfort of his or her home. In Dominica, somebody should enjoy our nice beaches at any time, Madam Speaker, without having any fear of being attacked by vagabonds and criminals, Madam Speaker. And in that regard, Madam Speaker, we will continue to provide the police officers with all the support they need in terms of provision of the tools of trade and training in contemporary policing discipline, Madam Speaker. That is what we're all about. Now, on the issue of the Department of Labor, apart from the Department of Labor traditional work of labor-related matters, the department has been able to facilitate a number of young Dominicans, be it to partake as farm workers in Canada or on cruise ships, Madam Speaker, to create an opportunity for them to live wholesome lives and to contribute to the sustenance of the family on our country, Madam Speaker. That will continue to do, Madam Speaker. The fire and ambulance services. All the health districts are equipped with new ambulances, Madam Speaker, for the first time in the history of this country. And with the effort of our friends of the People's Republic of China, we're expecting very soon a fleet of vehicles for both the fire department and the police, Madam Speaker. In this year's estimate, provisions have been made, Madam Speaker, for the procurement of 2 new major fire appliances. We have to ensure that our airport operation at Douglas Charles remain compliant, Madam Speaker. And in that regard, we have made close to $2 million available to buy a new truck. But the truck has to be customized. It has to be built. And that process has begun. And come April of 2018, this truck, insofar as its manufacturing is concerned, will be ready for delivery to Dominica and for use at the Douglas Church Airport, Madam Speaker. That's what we're all about. In Granby, a major district, Madam Speaker, $980,000 is provided for in this year's estimate for a brand new truck for the Granby district. We have started work, and work is continuing at the main building in Roso for the fire officers. The same has been done in Portsmouth, but the intention is to build a new fire station for the people of Portsmouth, Madam Speaker. We also have made available in this year's estimate monies for the refurbishment of the building to house the fire officers in Granby, Madam Speaker. And we continue to do these things that we need to do. The prisons, Madam Speaker. Sometimes, Madam Speaker, I came back in this honorable house and said that our prison has to place more emphasis on correction. Some persons deserve a second chance in life. There are some criminals, because of the magnitude and gravity of the crime that they've committed, need to be put away for a long time. But there are those, Madam Speaker, who have to be afforded the opportunity to reform themselves and to go back into society so that they can contribute, Madam Speaker, in meaningful ways. That is why we are so happy that we had over 30 inmates for the first time writing the CXC exam at the state prison, Madam Speaker. And we have started discussion with the state prison to have some modules, placing emphasis on vocational skills, Madam Speaker.
Who is willing to pay me some money for the cell phone that went off for charity?
Sorry, Madam Speaker, you're speaking to me?
Somebody's cell phone went off, and I'm asking them to pay a fine to charity for that.
Yes. You said that with utmost clarity. Madam Speaker, so placing emphasis, Madam Speaker, on plumbing, those kind of things, Madam Speaker, technical skills, Madam Speaker. We have made provision in the estimate for the establishment of a buffer zone so that persons living in close proximity to the prison won't be able to stay and send drugs and other illegal items over the fence, Madam Speaker. Now, prisoners have their rights too. And we have to ensure that the condition is made humane to an extent, Madam Speaker. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I was very much concerned about the security block. And I'm very pleased, Madam Speaker, that the monies have been made available, and thanks to my cabinet colleague, and we have ordered the appropriate toilet outfits, so to ensure that the security block is actually improved at the state prison. We have to develop a new plan and think in a holistic way to develop and to improve on the prison setting, Madam Speaker. In that regard, Madam Speaker, I want to make reference to the family court. And we in this cabinet have approved, Madam Speaker, the family court establishment in Dominica. And I want to say thank you to my cabinet colleague, Madam Speaker. Because we have to find specialized ways of dealing with family matters, Madam Speaker, at the court. Issues relating to divorce, issues relating to juvenile delinquency, Madam Speaker. And to have located at this court specialized magistrate, a sitting judge, and specialized counselors, Madam Speaker. And at the same time, building on infrastructure to support this family court, namely to ensure that we have a facility to house young offenders, Madam Speaker. Young offenders should not be in the same setting with adult prisoners, Madam Speaker. That's what we're all about. That's what we're all about, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want now to turn to the Mao constituency. And I took my time, Madam Speaker, to say that I was not going to really ask for more time. Madam Speaker, I listened to Senator Thomas from Mao. And persons who have been following me have said to me, you have been very much conservative on your response to Mr. Thomas, Senator Thomas, because his mother, my father, and his father are my very good friends. But he must not take that as cover to come to this honorable house and to mislead this honorable house, Madam Speaker. And he has done it for a long time during the election campaign. We on the other side, Madam Speaker, do not boast ourselves. But most of us there, when we write our name, we have to write something after our names. With honors. You see? So some of us go out and we mislead our qualification. I never said anything about him during the election campaign. But you must stop doing that. And I want to say, when he made reference to the people in Taro, my money, I went, well, he may have done something. I have it in my vehicle. I went to Springfield Trading, it's still there. And then bought all the drinks, everything they eat, and give them money for the music, and buy them for them. And it's here alone, I do it, No, stuff like that. But it is clear, Madam Speaker, that the Senator Thomas doesn't know what's happening in our constituency. And he has not read the estimate. Had he done so, Madam Speaker, he would have realized that in this year's estimate, there is provision made for the construction of the road from Despot to Campbell, and the Labour Party administration, under a black Master Parep, shall build the road from Despot to Campbell for the people of Campbell and Despot, Madam Speaker. He doesn't know that. As we speak, Madam Speaker, we have a crew working on the road, clearing the grass, and to be followed by clearing the slide, and to start construction work immediately after the passing of the budget. Madam Speaker, as we speak, my friend, my grandmother always tell me, that's the worst spirit to have on you, is dead people's spirit, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, dead people's spirit. Because when the member for Roso, I never said anything about him, came the first day of the sitting of the house, and I saw the collar and the type of fabric his tie was wearing. No boutique in this contemporary world selling those ties, Madam Speaker. And having said that, I went to Martinique some years, Madam Speaker, he attacked me. I went to Martinique some years ago, invited for what they call a Grand Riviere celebration. There was only one guest house in that area, and not saying who was there with me. Okay? Now, one guest house. I'm not saying that. Okay. Now, and I was brought there by the then member for Sufre. He's not there. It was 3 of us who were there. And 2 tall fellows, well, 3 relatively tall fellows and 1 very tall fellow. And I was given a house. So when I entered the house, I saw pictures standing in the house. I said, what happened there now? I opened the closet, I saw clothes there. So I kept my clothes in my bag. I closed the windows, I lie down on the bed. Whole night, I cannot see the bed rocking with me. Windows opening, I said, what happened in there? So next day, I said, Mr. Pinard, I could not sleep because I closed the windows opening, the bed rocking with me, everything happening. He said, I forgot to tell you that the husband of the wife died and the wife lived in the system and the speaker. Because dead people don't want you to interfere with the things. So they'll rock you, they will shake you, Madam Speaker. And that is what I struggle in Danny Luger, the member for Roso, Madam Speaker. And there's only one, Roso, and there's only one priest in Dominica that can help him. And it's not going to go to him because he said the priest is a Labour Party supporter, Madam Speaker. So stay with your thing. All right. Madam Speaker, having said that. Yeah, Madam Speaker. Yeah. Now, Madam Speaker. Yeah. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, going back now. No, I'm not him, man. I'm not him. Yeah. Madam Speaker, now we are spending close to $2 million in Kenfield. As I speak, $900,000 is being spent to redo the roads in Kenfield East and RBC housing scheme. As I speak, $804,000 is being spent to construct a returning wall in housing scheme Kenfield, Madam Speaker. And I want to assure the people of Kenfield and River State that for this financial year, and with the support of my colleague minister and Tyrant, the neighbors, we shall build, resurface, brand new, Madam Speaker, the road from the intersection of the Kenfield Road leading to River Estate into Corcoran, Madam Speaker. Brand new, Madam Speaker. He doesn't know that. As I speak, Madam Speaker, we have spent $343,000 to help the people of Viewpoint 1. The road is 98% complete. The other intervention has to do because Domlec has not actually relocated its pole. And I'm calling on Domlec because you place a pole on the right of way. You now asking for the state to pay $10,000. You must go and remove the pole to facilitate the completion of our work, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we just finished spending $323,000 to rehabilitate the road leading to Campbell. As I speak, the details, estimates, and designs are being concluded for 5 returning walls leading to Campbell. We intend to deal with the people of Campbell similarly to what happened in Peter Savan. But in the interim, we have to ensure that we stabilize the road and make it safer for people of Campbell, Madam Speaker. He doesn't know that because he doesn't know anything about the constituency. I gave up something to come into politics. When I came into politics, Madam Speaker, I had 3 more years to have been qualified for my pension at the age of 49 years. I gave that up. He has given up nothing, Madam Speaker, to come into this field. As of many of us on this side who have given up something, Madam Speaker. So it's about serving the people of this country. And to continue, Madam Speaker, to continue, the bridge leading to the senior citizens' home in Mao was on the mine generica. We just finished that, Madam Speaker. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. And I have with me a brand new design for an apartment-type structure for the people of Layo Park. We promised the people of Layo Park, I said to them, when I win, that we shall bring water for them. And I want to say to the people of Layo Park, come when I'm relying on the Minister of Housing and Water Resource Management, my good friend, who has been very nice to me, Madam Speaker, in my constituency, for us to go to Layo Park very soon to commission a brand new water supply for the people of Layo Park, first time in the nation, Madam Speaker. In 2007, we bought the land on their behalf, Madam Speaker, through my intervention. And we have designed a brand new apartment-type structure. And I want to say thank you to the Minister for Housing and the Ministry for Housing. It is there. I want to give Mr. Thomas a copy. Look at there, Layo Park. And the design, Madam Speaker, the floor plan, everything is there. I want the camera to take it. Camera, take it. See it? Right, Madam Speaker. And I want to say to the people of Massa, already we have started the process. We have put a management team in place to manage the proposed new facility, sporting facility. As I speak, the bolts for the steel frame building is on island, and within a week or so, the entire steel frame structure will be in Dominica. And we are going to transform the Massa basketball court to make it international standard for us to play basketball, Madam Speaker. During the celebration of the Feast of St. Anne, we had the two biggest teams in basketball in Dominica coming against each other. My colleague was supposed to confront me, he ducked. And Madam Speaker, we are going to standardize the way basketball is being played in this country. And I want to say thank you to the Minister for Sports, thank you to the Minister for Finance, and thank you to my cabinet colleagues for that support, Madam Speaker. In this year's estimate, we have a balance of almost $395,000 to do some touching up, to fix the walls, and to make the place more presentable, Madam Speaker. It will be very nice. And to say further to the people of Massa, that we have a design for a beautiful apartment-type structure. It's going to be very nice. Okay, thank you very much for the concept. And the same will be done for Jimmy and Maho this financial year, Madam Speaker, because I have to help my people because they've helped me. And the work will continue. I met with the people of Phase 2 and 3 in Jimmy. They had a historic problem in Phase 2 and 3 in Jimmy, water undermining the investment. And I want to say thank you again to the Minister for Housing. He said I'm very troublesome. $345,000 was made available for 1,600 feet of storm drains, Madam Speaker, still being under construction. That is the legacy of Ray Blackmore and the Dominican Labour Party in the Mao constituency, Madam Speaker. And we shall continue, Madam Speaker. We have improved the road in Chimit, and I'm saying to the Minister for Education, we're working on a playing field for the people of Jimit, and I cannot take it anymore. The people of Jimit, we need to have access to the playing field in Jimit for the young men to actually recreate. But I know what sports has done for me insofar as my wholesome development of the person is concerned. And we are working on that, and I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Minister, and you have to understand he lived in Massac for a long time, Madam Speaker. I've experienced the Mao constituency experience, Madam Speaker, and it must be nice to us in that regard. Madam Speaker, small business enterprise development. We have started the process, and we have assisted people, Campbell, and in due time, we shall be assisting Mao, Massa, Kinfield. I had a meeting with the young folks and other persons in Layo Park. The same will be done, Taro, the same will be done, Madam Speaker. We shall dredge through the rabbit in Taro, continue to work on the returning wall, and to ensure that they have proper playing field facility in Taro, and to help them with some housing problems. And to invest in some of the fishermen, not only in Taro, but in Mao and in Massac, Madam Speaker. That is what we're all about, Madam Speaker, in the constituency. Madam Speaker, and it continues. As I speak with you, Madam Speaker, we are spending $200,000 in the dredging of the river in Higher River Estate. I want to say thank you to the Minister for Public Works, she's right there now, and Belfast River, Checkall Valley, and of course on Kenfield River, are part of the 13 critical rivers in Dominica to be properly dredged. I've already gotten the commitment from the Minister of Finance to assist the people of Checkall Valley to install walls in critical areas in Checkall Valley and to continue the dredging in the Checkall Valley area. I shall be meeting them very soon in order to apprise them of that intervention that is pending, Madam Speaker. Resources Estate, a private development again. And we have to also talk about what we have done before, you see? Because I can recall that there was a committee in Resources Estate at the time, the Gordon families. They're no longer living there. And there was no pipe on water. And I want to say thank you to the Minister for Housing and Water Resource Management and the General Manager of the Wasco. And we bought water for them. Help them with street lights. Help the committee to improve on the road. The pastor of Erica spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to dredge the river, and we shall continue to assist in that regard. I'm aware, Madam Speaker, because we have constructed a bypass after Erica. Now the traditional bridge there is on the mine, and we have the estimate and the design to actually improve that structure, Madam Speaker. And the list goes on, Madam Speaker. In education, I have met with all the first-time high school students in my constituency. I have met also with first-time college students in the constituency. And after the budget, Madam Speaker, I shall be meeting all the graduates of colleges, be it the state college or the tertiary institutions, to get their resume and to help them to find employment, Madam Speaker. That is what we're all about, Madam Speaker. That's what we call effective representation, Madam Speaker. And the list goes on. And we must also talk about the legal things. It's equally important, Madam Speaker. And the Minister for Trade and Employment is not there. But I think I'm going to give him residency permit for the Mao constituency. Because he has been helping me very, very well, Madam Speaker.
You have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't think about 5 now. I don't know.
Madam Speaker, I move that the honourable member be given an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the minister be given a further 5 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Please continue.
Because we have placed a lot of emphasis on NEP, National Employment Program. And it's not limited to the persons who work in the public service or the private sector. But there are persons who are involved in the community beautification program who are playing a very critical role in uplifting the respective communities within the country, Madam Speaker. And I want to say thank you to the Minister for Employment. And I want to actually, Madam Speaker, through you, to commend the teams in Marsac and Maho and the team leaders for actually helping to keep the environment clean and planting flowers. A couple of weeks ago, we invested in over $3,000 worth of plants, Madam Speaker, to plant around the highway, the roads. Because Maho and Marsac is a major artery. You're coming from Postman to Roso, you must traverse into Maho and Marsac. We have to ensure that we keep the area clean. We have constructed a holding area around the market in Maho, and I want to say thank you very much to NAFO for helping to ensure that persons do not come and dislodge the garbage all over the place. If we are talking about a clean and green community and country, that has to be manifested in our deeds, Madam Speaker. We cannot go slinging rubbish all over the place and come and beat my chest, the nature isle of the Caribbean. No. That nature of the Caribbean concept must be demonstrated by our deeds, Madam Speaker. And to say further, Madam Speaker, we will continue to ensure that the same spirit is taken to Kenfield. We made available a brand new truck for Kenfield. Apart from the NEP staff that we have helping the Kenfield Urban Council, Madam Speaker, we have an additional team, and I want to say thank you to Rasta, Richard Alexander, for his team who is responsible for the Benoit intersection, traversing all the way back to Antrim Valley. Madam Speaker, reference was made to the road in Layo Park. Again, Madam Speaker, the Senator Thomas doesn't have one clue as to what is going on, Madam Speaker. If he had, he would have known that under the Caribbean Development Bank initiative, Madam Speaker, that provision is being made to reconstruct the road from the Clackle Bridge all the way back to the roundabout, Madam Speaker, and this road will be very beautiful and consistent with international standards. Again, thank you very much, Honorable Kelvedaro, for your support, and of course the Prime Minister and the Minister for Public Works in that regard. He doesn't know that he passed after, Madam Speaker, alas. So we have all our bases covered. But no government is perfect, Madam Speaker, and we're willing to hear from them if they're serious, and together for us to build this country. But they're not serious, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that we had a very good celebration, Sentence celebration. And it was 4 nights of peace and expression of our culture and our tradition. And I want to say thank you very much to Dennis Charles. She has been very, very nice to me in Petro Caribbean. And of course, we have to also ensure that she gets a residency permit also. Very nice to me. So I used to talk about Ian Pinard, but I think she has surpassed Ian Pinard in that regard. Now, sometimes we criticize the police, but I want to place on record my commendation for the Mao police for these 4 days of festivities in the Mao constituency for the Sentence celebration, Madam Speaker. They were phenomenal, Madam Speaker, and I want to say thank you very much to them. I can recall when we celebrated the 5th of Sentence before, as a little boy, Madam Speaker, we had what they call Lamarine. And then you had, in those days, the fishermen used the nets, and fishing was not done in this kind of commercial way it's been done now, only for the money. But the guys took pride in expressing their traditions. And then they used to dress that boat, and start from Roso, rowing with the shell and music down to Belfast, up and down. We have to try it. It's difficult, but we have to try to bring back that flavor and that color in the celebration of our feast. Because a feast celebration should not only be about Sioux, but we ought to be sending a message to the rest of the country and the rest of the world by extension, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I need to say thank you very much for allowing me to share my views and to say that this Labour Party is ready to take this country into a more modern state. And to say further, I want to commend the young persons in Kenfield. We have a very strong young team in Kenfield going around, Madam Speaker, over the weekend, caring for the poor. And to say thank you for the coordinators and the young persons in Kenfield, where I met with you, and together we shall be working together. And to say finally, Madam Speaker, finally, that this playing field in Kenfield, next to the airport, is for the people and residents of Kenfield, Madam Speaker. And I've been saying that for a number of years, that we need to clear this area of all the derelicts and to free it up and to make it available for the young people of Kenfield. And I shall be putting all my energies in the next couple of weeks and months to ensure that the derelict vehicles are removed. I don't care if you support me or not. If you support somebody, Madam Speaker, you have to do the good things to prop the person up and not to use it to bring him down, Madam Speaker. And I cannot tolerate that, Madam Speaker. And I want to say thank you, Madam Speaker. And this budget is the most progressive budget I've seen. And Madam Speaker, c'est pas très moun yon ki mora, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning to members of this honorable House. I stand to make my contribution towards this debate. Madam Speaker, let me first take the opportunity to extend sympathies to the family and friends of former government minister, Mr. N.A.N. Ducre, former Senator, Mr. Bernard A. Carbon, former Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Jean Pestina, and also would like to wish speedy recovery to the parliamentary representative for the Grand Fond Constituency, Honorable Ivor Stevenson. But Madam Speaker, this morning I woke up with some very bad news in my constituency. On Sunday, I was in Kulibistri, and I was there socializing the village feast. But this morning, to wake up to that news, even on Sunday, I had a very good conversation about Mr. The Honorable Austri being born in Kulibistri and other stuff. A resident asked me to speak to Mr. Austri, her house that got damaged during Tropical Storm Erica. But this morning, Madam Speaker, to get this sad news, a very hard-working individual, I know him, very hard-working farmer, very friendly, was at his home. And to go to the home this morning, what transpired in Kulibistri this morning. The entire village is very sad. I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend sympathies to his wife, Lorna, his children, Carla, as they, and the son, who's out of state right now. Madam Speaker, I just want to ask them to hold strong, and the people of Kulibistri to continue to give them the support that they need at this time. It's a very difficult and trying time when things like that happen. And Madam Speaker, yesterday I listened to the member for the Roso Valley and also the Minister of Health when they made mention about specializing in the health sector and mental health. That is a serious problem that we have, Madam Speaker, and I am hoping that as we continue to build our country, that we, as we look at specializing, we look at more specialists in that field to give support to Dr. Benjamin and his team as we go forward, because the situations that we can help others with as we move on in our communities, and when situations like this happen, it really have you thinking how you can help and what you can do to prevent other things like that from happening. Madam Speaker, on Thursday, the Prime Minister made his presentation. And you as the head of the broadcast committee and even as the chair, you made mention of the different media houses, social media, carrying the presentation of the Prime Minister, and also GIS YouTube channel, Madam Speaker. And on Friday, the leader of the opposition was making his presentation, and people were asking me for that same link, and I sent it out, only to find out that the leader of the opposition responding to the Prime Minister was not available on the YouTube channel. I see that as a serious issue that needs to be addressed. As head of the broadcast committee, Madam Speaker, as chair of the broadcast committee. Yes.
To the head of.
Yes.
I'm just asking.
No, I was just saying as your chair of.
Who is the chair?
I thought you were the chair of the broadcast committee. I'm stand corrected. The chair of the broadcast committee, parliamentary. Yes. Yes. So I was saying, this is the House of Assembly. I said you made mention of the different media houses, YouTube channel doing the live streaming. But on Friday, unfortunately, something transpired. And some of us, myself, I called GIS as well. Several people called and they said it was a technical problem. But soon after the leader of the opposition was complete with his presentation, the YouTube channel was back up. And Madam Speaker, it's a concern, a genuine concern, because the Prime Minister made his presentation, the leaders of the opposition gave his rebuttal, and Dominicans at home and abroad would have liked to be able to access his presentation on the internet. It was put on the internet last night, Madam Speaker. It was placed there, but it was not placed as the presentation by the leader of the opposition. It was placed as budget debate on July 28th. And Madam Speaker, these are the little things. My colleague from the Roso Valley spoke about it, how we should be united in some of our efforts and make sure that we do things in the right way. And I think that would go a long way to get the message across, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and that is why I had to bring this. Another concern that I had, Madam Speaker, and I've seen it.
But you mentioned about something that, is it something that I did? I'm lost completely.
No, Madam Speaker, I said, let me repeat myself clearly. I said that you made mention of the channels on Thursday, GIS live streaming, yes. And I said that on the 28th, Friday, people asked me for the link, and I sent back the same link to them, the GIS link, because they thought the leader of the opposition would be live on that same live streaming, and it was not so. And I said the broadcast committee, Madam Speaker, broadcast and getting information available. That is the House, the broadcast have information from the House. I was just saying that, Madam Speaker, if you could use your good chair, your office, the broadcast committee as chair, to see what transpired. Let us know what transpired. Yes, Madam Speaker. Okay, Madam Speaker, no problem.
I was totally lost.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, Madam Speaker, I would really like to know what transpired, and because what you're hearing different information. Even on the DNO, you have something different, and I called there as well. So I just want us to get that clear. If you want to get information out there and ensure that both sides get the opportunity to present and be out there. Madam Speaker, another concern that I have.
Anyway, go on.
Another concern that I have, Madam Speaker, I saw it happen last year. We came here as members of the opposition. We sat down and listened to the budget presentation by the Prime Minister. We listened. It was 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We stayed there and we listened. But, Madam Speaker, last year and this year, when the leader of the opposition stands to make his address, the Prime Minister exited himself. And it happened on Friday, Madam Speaker. He was there from the starting about 2-3 minutes and then he left. Madam Speaker, it's a concern that we, on this side, will sit there and listen to the Prime Minister We're in Parliament, Madam Speaker. The Prime Minister should sit there. I see it as a level of disrespect to the leader of the opposition, reporting to his budget address, Madam Speaker. And I see it as a disrespect to the leader of the opposition, Madam Speaker. And it's a concern for me, also on that side, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with that said, Madam Speaker, I will go back. Madam Speaker, I listened to the Minister of Education, Madam Speaker, yes, Madam Speaker, and he made reference to a lot of things that they're doing. And Madam Speaker, and anything that is in the best interest of our students, we welcome it on this side. And we always believe in adding value, giving support where support is needed, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, Section 6 of the Education Act number 11 of 1997 states, and I quote, "The minister shall table in the House of Assembly an annual report on the state of the education within 12 months of the end of the school year for which the report is made." Madam Speaker, I would like to find out from the Minister of Education when last that report was made. Because, Madam Speaker, that report will go a long way for us on that side to even look at it, read through it, and understand where they are and how we can make meaningful contribution towards ensuring that our students get the best education and prepare themselves for better life, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we look at, for instance, Madam Speaker, we have the grade 6 national assessment. It's a national assessment where our children prepare to go to secondary school. And the reason why it's called a national assessment is look at how you can evaluate your students who are strong academically and those who are strong technically, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, because at the end of the exam, Madam Speaker, when you have students excelling with 4 A's, and I heard the Minister Daniel gave the report this year, and their students excelling with 4 A's, and we want to congratulate them and their parents. But the other students getting 4 E's, and they'll be in the same class, they'll be going to do the same high school, Madam Speaker. And I heard the minister made mention about vocational subjects at the secondary schools. But, Madam Speaker, we're looking at something broader than that, Madam Speaker. On this side, the students, we know that who are not academically inclined, that we prepare them with the skills training, the JSP, if you can call it vocational, whatever you want to call it, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, you have, for example, I can give an example. There are schools in Dominica practically empty. And you can look at some different areas, and if it's in Laplin or Castibrus or Marigot, even Nehemiah Comprehensive, empty building right now. And so you can do some skills training right there, Madam Speaker, to empower the children who are not academically inclined. That is what we are looking on this side, Madam Speaker, empowering our young people. And that is why I asked for the report, Mr. Minister, because it gives us a broad view of what is happening at the schools. And we would like to get that report so we can assist in making recommendations towards ensuring that we empower our young people, Madam Speaker. And that is what because we have a high rate of dropouts. We have too many young men on the blocks. And even the minister just said that earlier on, he has some of his young boys on the blocks working because there are too many young people on the blocks. And you hear what they say about idle hands, the devil's workshop. You heard the minister, the member of parliament for Sufria. That's why she tried to engage some of the young men and women in her constituency. We all want that for young men and women. But we want some of them to have the skills. Madam Speaker, you don't know the amount of young men that went through the JSP program, young men and women, who own their own business right now. Some of them even get back into the school system and teaching. That is what we'd like to see, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are into about too many blocks and gangs. No more groups. No more clubs. And these are the type of things we'd like to see happen, Madam Speaker. And it's, as I said, Madam Speaker, it's adding value. At the State College, Madam Speaker, we have nice, beautiful structures, but the labs, inadequate. And that is where we would like to see the government focus to see how we can have up-to-date lab, state-of-the-art, where our students, our biology students and chemistry students can go in there, Madam Speaker, and further develop themselves. That is what we want, adding value, Madam Speaker. And I like what my friend from the Roso Valley said. Let us work together. We will make you're the government, yes. We're making recommendations. If you don't want to do it, when our turn comes, we will do it, Madam Speaker. But we are making viable recommendations to ensure that we move our country forward, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, much was said about agriculture and about the farm roads in Salisbury, farm roads everywhere. But Madam Speaker, we can speak about the amount of money being allocated for farm roads on the BAM. But Madam Speaker, on the 4th of May, the Prime Minister, Minister of Agriculture, and the Minister for Public Works visited Salisbury. We had a meeting about 2 hours because of the concerns that we had for the farm roads in the heights of Salisbury. Madam Speaker, that is a serious concern for me as a parliamentary representative. We got funding from BAM for that road, Madam Speaker. And the contractor representatives and everybody else, we had some concerns with what was transpiring, Madam Speaker. A road that was expected to start on June 23rd, 2016. They actually started pouring concrete on the 2nd of May, 2017. You understand what is happening, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, that is about 11 months late. And on the BAM, Madam Speaker, you have timelines to meet. But our biggest concern, Madam Speaker, I want us to listen, Our biggest concern in Salisbury is the disrespect, not having meetings with us, and not getting value for money, Madam Speaker. What is going on there, Madam Speaker, is a total waste of resources. And the only reason the farmers of Salisbury continue to remain quiet because it is better than what they had. But the BAM is giving you money. You have specifications that when you applied when you tendered for that project, you had specifications to meet. Madam Speaker, the road is thin. The material, in terms of the sand being used, is dirt from Koliho landside. And they had Salomon before. They grade it out and dump it on the side. Madam Speaker, I mean, first time, no, they have monitoring them, but the problem that we have, you have the contractor representative is St. Lucian. And the project consultants are St. Lucians. You understand what I'm saying there? Conflict of interest. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying, poor monitoring of the projects. You have some areas, Madam Speaker, they said that it had to be uniform, 4 inches of concrete. And they didn't grade the road, they're not rolling it properly. So you have a level surface, so you have your 4 inches on every side. I mean, you should go up there and see the road. And for a farmer, sometimes a farmer have to reverse. Maybe half a mile to give another farmer room to pass. The drain, Madam Speaker, some areas, because they don't have drain, they have not put any drains as yet. So you know some of on some sides you have about 10 inches thick. So if you fall off, you might break your suspension or something with load. So if a farmer going up with fertilizer on his van and one is coming on with produce, on a road where you would use a motor car to run up on the farm for 20 minutes and back. Madam Speaker, that is a concern that we have up there. You know, and that road is not only for agriculture, you know. You have the end of segment 9 of the Whitey Kubuli Trail, and the beginning of segment 10 is in the heights of Saul repeated Makushri. Where's the Minister of Tourism? I heard him speaking about tourism. What has happened to the Whitey Kubuli Trail, especially segment 9 and segment 10? And these are the type of things, Madam Speaker, we can talk about millions and millions and millions, but at the end of the day, value for money. That is what we want to see. We welcome everything that they do for the farmers, even though it's 17 years too late, we welcome it. But give us value for money, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the village of Kulibistri. And I heard, I'm happy that the people of Petit Savan, they're getting what they rightfully deserve. The Dominicans, they got affected during Erica. We're happy that the people of Kulibistri, they're happy that they're getting what they rightfully deserve in Petit Savan. But Madam Speaker, what is happening to the people of Kulibistri? What have they done to deserve that? Madam Speaker, and I said earlier on that I was in Kulibistri, and a lady from Kulibistri told me to say to Mr. Austri that he's the Minister of Housing, and she got affected during Erica. No, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you that now. And yeah, man. But I know you'll go. I'll talk to you. I talk to you. You know, and just to say to Mr. Austri that don't forget the people. She never said anything rude. Just to tell the Minister of Housing, pass to see us in Kulibistri. He's from Kulibistri, pass to see us. I'm telling you that, pass to see her. That's pass to Kulibistri, you'll see her, you'll find her. Yeah, so Madam Speaker, the people of Kulibistri, they are asking themselves, what have they done to the people, to the government, Madam Speaker? Tropical storm Erica took place on the 27th of August, 2015. And a few days after, the Prime Minister and his team was there, and they walked through and everything, Madam Speaker. But they promised the people that they will be back. They promised them that they will take care of repairing some of the houses. The minister's permanent secretary was head of the housing committee that they formed. He and I spoke maybe once or twice about it. But nothing is happening in Kulibistri, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have people like Paulie LaRock. We lost everything in the canal area. And she has property now and she would like to build, and she has not seen anybody. We have people like Erickson and Ruby Joyce in Placerville, next to the river, Madam Speaker. And every time it rains, they have to leave, Madam Speaker. There are other houses lower down, Clemens, Joseph, and some others. And nothing is being done, nothing is being said to them. Madam Speaker, that list has been in long term. Ask the permanent secretary in your ministry, Mr. Minister. Madam Speaker, and nothing is being done in Kulibistri. Madam Speaker, you have the Kulibistri River.
You have
and
5
in the
minutes
hurricane
left.
season.
You have 5 minutes left.
Okay, Madam Speaker, not a problem. I'm okay. And nothing is being done with that river. There's a bridge. This morning, Madam Speaker, I was in Kulibistri and we were standing on the bridge. And the people in Kulibistri, Madam Speaker, saying, check our bridge right now, even in emergency. Somebody can get hurt on that bridge. Nothing, they have not addressed anything. Right there. The sand is maybe just about 3 feet below the bridge. The crossing bridge. So if you have Heavy rains now, Madam Speaker, in the hurricane season. You know what's going to happen in Kulibistri? And these are the type of things, Madam Speaker, we would like to see happen. As I said, I'm happy for the people of the PD7 constituency. But what happened to Kulibistri? After PD7 was Kulibistri. And now we are hearing nothing, absolutely nothing about Kulibistri. There's a lady, Madam Speaker, she's in her 70s, she has a shop, Clayfer Philic, and the shop was full with siltation, Madam Speaker, and they clear everything, and they got no assistance, the fridge and everything in the shop, and no one, Madam Speaker, has passed by to give them the support. And that is what we are speaking about, Madam Speaker. At least, if your eyes fall let your eyes fall on Kulibistri as well. Madam Speaker, the people of Monwatchet welcome the water storage tank because they really had that problem for a very long time. They welcome the water storage tank. I am hoping that it will go further and have new distribution lines and maybe fire hydrants up in Monwatchet to complement the water intake, Madam, the water storage tank up in Monwatchet. Madam Speaker, quickly, also in Salisbury, we welcome the changing of the pipes in the lower part of the village, and we wanted to go much further. We want to thank the ministry for doing that, and also Dawasco. We would also... yes, Madam Speaker, John, the Minister of Agriculture make me laugh, Madam Speaker. Yeah. So, Madam Speaker, that is where we are as a constituency. We continue to ask and press on for things for our constituency. We will do that. I will remain on the backs of the ministers, relevant ministers and ministries to do what they can for our constituency. But, Madam Speaker, there is something I want to touch quickly. There is a serious concern, not for only me, but a lot of Dominicans, especially constituencies like Salisbury and Wesley, and maybe even Roso South to a certain extent. Madam Speaker, there is the finance and audit financial regulations. And I want us to familiarize ourselves with Chapter 6301, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, why? You have the government, Madam Speaker. You have three branches of government. You have the judiciary, you have the executive, and also you have the legislature. And we have all part of the legislature. But some things that are going on, Madam Speaker, in some constituency, serious concerns. Where you have people that we call caretakers being involved in handling of state finances and resources. Madam Speaker, that is a serious concern, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you have the accounting officers in the relevant ministries who are accountable to the state. Not even the ministers, Madam Speaker. And you're having people who are not part of the government machinery dictating who should get money from village councils, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, they have monies. And I heard someone earlier, Madam Speaker, a member of this House, raise that concern. The Minister of Education about monies going to village councils. Madam Speaker, I support him on that. Because that is a concern. You have monies going to village councils. A lot of money.
Your time is up. Just a moment. Your time is up. I'll give you 30 seconds to wind up.
Yes, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, thank you. I just want us to be, there's a concern in the government service where you have people who are not responsible handling government resources, and that is a serious concern. I'd just like to raise it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to deliver my contribution on the 2017-2018 budget. But, Madam Speaker, with your leave, I would like to just extend sympathies to the family of Jean Pestina, a Dominican patriot, and also to the families of Nan Jukre. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to extend a heartfelt feeling from the constituency of Roso and myself to the family and friends of Ivor Stevenson for a speedy recovery. We go way back, Madam Speaker. He was a student of mine at UE, so I want to wish him the best, Madam Speaker. Also, the opposition, on behalf of the members of opposition, I would like to say that we stand in solidarity with Dr. Clarissa Etienne. We go way back, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I heard the Prime Minister spoke about, that is before the budget address, spoke about the budget that we were going to have, it created an excitement for Dominica because we heard significant resources were going to be spent. So, Madam Speaker, as usual, I was open. But, Madam Speaker, as I said before, anything that's too good to be true is too good to be true. So you have to go deeper. But before I go into it, Madam Speaker, I would like to first of all start by saying, on a positive note, that I welcome and give support to the new threshold for income tax free threshold of $30,000, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, I would suggest that it should have been even further, maybe 40,000. But Madam Speaker, the plan originally, when the implementation of VAT was envisaged, Madam Speaker, the intention was to eventually phase out income tax. So that's why I'm saying, Madam Speaker, we could maybe even go further, that is after the technocrats have done further evaluation and see if it is feasible, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as I say, give it full support, Madam Speaker, without reservation. Madam Speaker, also, Madam Speaker, the intervention in which the Prime Minister said, the Minister of Finance said that we'd give some support or level of support to the working class or the middle class seeking to get involved in engaging a mortgage. That day again, we welcome that, and I give that full support, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, also, I think it's a start in the right direction, Madam Speaker. I would go on further to say, for our 40th anniversary, which is next year, Madam Speaker, it would have been good, 40th anniversary of independence, Madam Speaker, for Dominica. It would have been good, Madam Speaker, if we could look at more considering, as per the manifesto of the United Workers' Party, consider duty-free access of construction material across the board, Madam Speaker, for everyone to benefit in Dominica, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm saying that also to say that as a PAL rep for Roso Central, yes, we also welcome the duty-free and the different incentives proposed by the Prime Minister for Roso and Portsmouth, that you'd remember that our family, my mom is from Portsmouth, so again, I'll support it, you know. So, Madam Speaker, so I'm also a Portsmouth man and a Roso man, so we support it. However, Madam Speaker, as I said, it would have been better to do it across the board for all Dominicans to benefit. Madam Speaker, again, they would prefer that I would say that I don't support. But, Madam Speaker, as an objective man, I have to say, Madam Speaker, where you bring healthcare support to elderly or for people who have challenges in regards to cancer, Madam Speaker, the opposition, we support that, Madam Speaker, without reservation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when the Minister of Finance says that he will give support to in graduate studies, Madam Speaker, again, in that area, support it, but Madam Speaker, again, we are saying that with proper planning, it would be more effective. So, Madam Speaker, the long-awaited small business legislation, we have been in the House for over what? This team there for over 3 years, going on 3 years now, Madam Speaker. And every year, yes, we just come, and I'll remind you why I'm saying that. We have been talking about that over and over, but we are still waiting for it. We're still waiting. But Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, so now, Madam Speaker, let me lay the ground. As I said, when something is too good to be true, it is too good to be true, so let's go deeper, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I quote, according to the IMF Article 4 consultation of July 2016, Madam Speaker, that is Annex 1, that is on, it calls Debt Sustainability Analysis, page 34, and I read, Dominica overall debt has been increasing steadily since 2010, reflecting the weakening fiscal position as of the end of 2014-2015. The stock of public sector debt, that is central government and the rest of public sector, henceforth public debt, is estimated to be around 84% of GDP, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it continues to say, over 70% of public debt is external, owed mainly to multilateral creditors, and the remaining is held by domestically, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is saying that commercial banks and other financial institutions, the debt, which is the rest of the public sector, state-owned enterprises, and Petrocarib is around 21%, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, but I go now to quote the Prime Minister, whereas the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance indicate on page 8 in his address, as of June 30th, 2017, the total disbursed outstanding debt to GDP is estimated at 61%. Madam Speaker, something is amiss relative to the IMF report saying 84, and the Prime Minister is saying 61.4. But what the Prime Minister did, he said total disbursed debt, to hide the fact that the total debt is about 84%, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, on that matter, I rest my case, Madam Speaker. This is misleading, Madam Speaker. But the Prime Minister will have an opportunity to clarify, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my friend, my longtime friend and Minister of Trade said that the economy has grown by 2.8% in previous financial year. But Madam Speaker, everyone, all students of economics 101 know that when a country faces a natural disaster in the following years, the first 1 to 2 years, because most of your different infrastructure, your productive sector have been impacted, any work that you do will show growth, Madam Speaker. So that is just, say it's playing with numbers, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, again, while we are talking about, and I said you need to go deeper than what the surface is telling you. It is exciting to hear 800 and something million. But when you go deeper, especially according to the young people, but where I be there now, Madam Speaker? But I'm in Dominica. And Madam Speaker, right in Dominica, we know public work employees have not been paid for over 3 months. That is the administrative staff, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in the colloquial way, where I be there, am I in Dominica? So, Madam Speaker, we should not play games with numbers by just saying percentages. So when the Minister of Trade talks about performance, Madam Speaker, we are still talking about, when we include the Petrocarib debt, a $1.3 billion debt estimated, Madam Speaker. And when we look at the trade deficit, they say not to talk about trade deficit, but we understand that based on the situation, you'll always have a lot of imports if you have construction. We understand that. But at least tell us what the export performance is. In 1998, 1999, if it was 160-something million, what is it now? At least tell us. So, Madam Speaker, we still, although, as we said, we welcome a lot of things within the budget and we support some things in the budget, Madam Speaker, we are still saying that we are faced with this sustainable jobs issue in Dominica. Remember, for the last 3 years, Madam Speaker, and colleagues in this honorable house, the State College have graduated at least about 1,000 students. Also, when you look at the aggregate total graduates from high schools is in the thousands, Madam Speaker, for the last 3 years. Madam Speaker, the question is, on this side of this honorable house, somebody needs to tell me which new business have been created and which ones have expanded to absorb those graduates. That is it, Madam Speaker. You know I'm always real and objective, Madam Speaker. I will say where it is positive, Madam Speaker, and I come always with respect. No personal attacks. No personal attacks. Madam Speaker, because I've vested a lot in Dominica. All what I had, I've vested it in Dominica. I didn't say invest. I say vested, so that is to show you that I'm tied to Dominica, Madam Speaker. So it's not one set. It's not one set that love Dominica. All of us love Dominica, but we can see things differently, and we can respect each other for seeing it differently, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in order, I move back to last year's theme, and I join in it with this year's theme. We said that to build a more resilient Dominica last year, and I'm saying I join in United Workers' Party approach and saying, in order to build a more resilient, competitive, and best place to live Dominica, we must focus on developing competitive industries and clusters so that we can move the growth engines in Dominica. So, Madam Speaker, because I have, and Madam Speaker, through you, I want the public to know it's just 30 minutes. So I'm just going to focus on 1 or 2 things, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, so I'm going to focus on the issue of tourism development and Roso Central joined together, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, tourism site enhancement, 1.4 million. Community tourism, 1.2 million. Urban renewal is just $1 million. And we're talking about development of Roso City, putting cables underground. Madam Speaker, this is grossly undervalued project implementation. Madam Speaker, and imagine you build a bridge for 18 million, but to do 4 streets in Roso, you're telling me 1 million easy, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, I need to remind the Minister of Tourism what has happened when we spoke last year about building resilience in the middle of the tourism season. Well, Madam Speaker, I mean, oh my God, after all, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it softly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a platform, Madam Speaker, collapsed with tourists, Madam Speaker. In the middle of the tourism season while we're talking about building resilience. Madam Speaker, you're talking about poor implementation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've said before, and I'm saying that again, that when we talk about bringing support to Secret Bay, and I dare say Galway Hotel, because I'm going to make a point, Kempinski Hotel, we welcome that. But we are aware that the Labour Party administration always have a problem with implementation. That is where we have been sluggish for many years, Madam Speaker. I've always tell them that yes, you meet people and you have some good ideas, but are you implementing effectively, Madam Speaker? And that is where we have faced the challenge. So, Madam Speaker, we are saying that the Galway hotels, the different outfits that are in Dominica that are struggling, we are saying to give them the support now. Because they said the time is now. Madam Speaker, while we are talking about tourism, and I would never criticize anybody, so I'm not going to criticize the Minister of Tourism direct, but I'm going to talk to the office, Madam Speaker. While we are talking about tourism and we are struggling in Dominica, we recognize even yesterday when we left Parliament, when you drive through all High Street, you see garbage on the road. When you go down to Roso, next to the same bridge we're talking about, state-of-the-art bridge, less than 100 meters, you have garbage down on the road, Madam Speaker. We're talking about tourism, Madam Speaker. This is what we are facing, Madam Speaker. That is what we are facing. Madam Speaker, I will talk about solutions. I'm telling you what the reality is, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, we spoke about drawdown. Something. Madam Speaker, we spoke about placing monies in for manufacturing, for tourism, for the entertainers, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm a person come from humble beginnings, Madam Speaker. And for that, I'm happy that Dominica have served me well over the years, and that is why I'm always positive in Dominica. But Madam Speaker, when you put significant resources in aid bank, but your drawdown is 20% or less in all the different sectors or the different products that you are placing in bank. And you asking yourself about your approach, the approach is wrong. I suggested last year that do a proper mix of debt and equity and help and refinance the hotel plants. Refinance. No. Refinance, Madam Speaker. Their loans, Madam Speaker. That's what I suggested last year. This year we are coming back, and when I do my research by talking to the people involved in the business, they are saying that yes, we asked for that. But we told them that they need to refinance, because if I'm currently paying, let's say $5,000 in debt in terms of monthly debt payment, how can I go and get and contract further loan to increase my payments? It cannot work. Madam Speaker, it passa to avai. It passa to avai, meaning that it cannot work, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, again, when we look at the Waiti Kubuli National Trail, Madam Speaker, I have a property on that segment there. Madam Speaker, it is unkept, Madam Speaker. It is unmaintained, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we're talking about tourism, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm also saying that when the Minister of Tourism come and he quotes and say our occupancy rate is 51%, let me tell him, Madam Speaker, because they say I'm an economist and all that, also I'm an engineer, industrial engineer, let me just give a basic calculation to this honorable house. Madam Speaker, if we have 365 days, which we have, and we have 990 hotel rooms, Madam Speaker, if you multiply that, that is equivalent to 350 rooms nights, Madam Speaker. Hear me well. Madam Speaker, if you take an average of tourists staying 7 days, but when you look at our stay-over visitors, is about 25,000. When you minus people going to Ross and coming to families, when we do the extrapolation, it's just about 14,000 real stay-over visitors we have. If you multiply 14,000 by 7 days, that is approximately 98 room nights of the tourists. If you look at that by calculating it, it is 27% occupancy rate, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you have to, and even if we move it to 10 days, it's still 38%. So, Madam Speaker, I'm moving on, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also, so long we have been speaking about timeshare legislation. I remember in my first address, I mentioned and I said, bring in timeshare legislation to ensure that the occupancy rate challenges, that would be a new product line in terms of the strategy of those hotel plants, so that they can increase the occupancy rate. Up till now, it have not been done, but people are talking about the implementing. Madam Speaker, implementing what and for who? We are suggesting those proposals, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I'm saying no, I just want to go to give a simple example, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I heard the representative from Soufriere, she showed a nice bag. Again, I would like to congratulate your constituent. I think it was really attractive, and I like that. Madam Speaker, we are saying, and remember, Madam Speaker, I've worked in different organizations giving support to businesses. I heard the Minister of Education said that DEO, that is the Daily Stoloma Women, Madam Speaker, a brand name created by myself, Madam Speaker. Created by myself and helped with a team of 3, implemented it and helped the Daily women, the Toloma women, Madam Speaker. So again, yes, but hear what I'm saying, Madam Speaker. While we are talking about manufacturing and placing money in manufacturing, I'm not going to call the brand name there because I'm not going to promote. But Madam Speaker, a foreign company, I'm not going to call it name because I don't want to promote no foreign company. So look at the level of packaging, Madam Speaker, in this honorable house. Look at it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, look at, I'm not going to call out the name of our company. I'll put it at the back. Madam Speaker, look at our level of packaging, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in that one, I don't even have to go further. I know they have nitrogen flush in that to ensure that the, well, we don't know the technical word, we'll say to minimize oxidation, Madam Speaker, so that it doesn't spoil, Madam Speaker, and it stay fresh. Madam Speaker, what I'm saying is we have potential in Dominica. We are not saying that we don't have potential. We have potential. But, Madam Speaker, when we're doing things disorganized, without a proper national plan for us to know, for the small business, we have to put the effort, Madam Speaker. That is what happens, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, look at the coconut oil, virgin coconut oil. So I want to focus on just that is the potential in Dominica. Madam Speaker, I'm going to say that if the government is serious in the approach, Madam Speaker, what we need to do is develop clusters. So, for example, if we decide, and I will support it, if we decide that we're going to develop a coconut industry cluster, then what we're going to do is, we're going from 5-6 years ago, we should have been planting coconut, different varieties, targeting, for example, coconut for making soap, that is the coconut oil, so we can process copra. Then we'll be looking at virgin coconut oil. We'll be planting variety for jelly. And no. That's what he's saying, but we're talking about after 17 years of labor, not planning effectively, Madam Speaker. That's what I'm talking about. So the potential is there. We are not saying we don't have talent and potential. The potential, you brought the bag. The bag is there. The coconut oil is there. Look, the chip is there. But what are we doing as a strategy, a national development strategy, where we can say that these are the priorities, Madam Speaker? So, Madam Speaker, with the same coconut, Madam Speaker, we can look at the shell for craft. So because you are looking at you can look at the fiber for making coconut koi for hydroponics. You can also look at the coconut for making confectionaries and for eating, for ice cream. Madam Speaker, you need to do research and development and also look at pest control in the agricultural aspect of the value chain, Madam Speaker, and then you're in the game. And then you use now the NEP workers to help that industry, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, you use the small business unit and give them grants and loans, and you develop a company, and after 5 years, you're supposed to say, we have created 5 millionaires by our strategy, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, after 17 years, Madam Speaker, when they're ready to relax, I just give an example of DO. It's sustainable. It's still there. It's still there. Nice. Madam Speaker, so what I've said there, Madam Speaker, you can move that. Oh, Madam Speaker, I would like to ask my Honorable...
You have 5 minutes left.
Okay, Madam Speaker. Honorable Ian Douglas.
Madam Speaker, I rise to give the member an additional 5 more minutes.
You can sit not negative, Reggie.
I second the motion.
Negative.
Madam Speaker.
Come.
Can I go through with the motion, please? It has been moved and seconded that the member be given a further 5 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? No. I'm going to have to count, you know, because I'm... Pardon? No. I heard loud. You see, the volume does not necessarily mean numbers. Okay? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side. There's how many on that side? Okay? So I just want to know how it went, because I don't want to be accused of acting unfairly. Pardon? I'm going to call it again then. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? No. You see the same thing. It's I don't. Sir, hello? I know, but I'm saying to you that I cannot gauge the things from there, because that's why I want to count. I don't want members to... Well, exactly. What do I say? Okay. I am member. I'm going to, go ahead and speak. 5 more minutes on your time. No.
Okay, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members on the other side, and thank you, my members on this side. Madam Speaker, so I'm saying, if we're going to move the country and we said that we want growth, Madam Speaker, I'm proposing to this honorable House again, second time, let me see the brave hearts in this country. I'm asking this honorable House to consider again marijuana as an economic opportunity for this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is doing what it has to do. Canada is doing what it has to do. Madam Speaker, we will be left behind. I'm not there proposing that everybody should be smoking, but I'm saying let this honorable House consider the decriminalization of marijuana so we can move on a path of economic prosperity, because we're going to look at research in medical use of marijuana and use it for industrial uses. Not that I'm proposing for people to be smoking all over the place, Madam Speaker. Though, Madam Speaker, if somebody is using it for their religious purposes, I don't have a problem with that, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I'm again proposing that, placing it on the record of Parliament, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, now, in regards to Roso Central, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister and myself had a cordial meeting where we discussed certain things, Madam Speaker. It was a very fruitful meeting, Madam Speaker, and I look forward to the implementation of some things we have discussed. But I just wanted to highlight, Madam Speaker, that, Madam Speaker, we again have been calling for the access of the forecourt of the Windsor Park, Madam Speaker. We are calling for that, Madam Speaker. We're saying that proper basketball, netball, volleyball court can be established there, Madam Speaker. And during the day, depending on how you design it, it can be used as temporary parking, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are again saying that, not negative, but at the time, Alvin Bernard, at the time, graded the park, the section where the Chinese occupy there now, right across the grammar school. We are again saying that there you cannot not have a practice field in the city. We have brought down grammar school to a lower level because grammar school don't have a practice field, Roso don't have a practice field. We are asking for that again, Madam Speaker. We are again placing on the record that in Roso we have a challenge with parking, and we are saying that under the Roso Road Reinstatement Project, which was established since in 2000 by the consultants, we should look at the parking facilities for the south side and for the north side, Madam Speaker. We are saying that that has to come. Madam Speaker, also, we are saying that the housing in Roso, we have heard mention of it. We ourselves have spoken about it many times. And we are saying that we need to establish an implementation committee for Roso made up of the PAL reps of Roso, all the PAL reps of Roso, the mayor of Roso, and key citizens and agencies of Roso and institutions, Madam Speaker, for proper implementation of the Roso Road Reinstatement Project and all other initiatives in Roso, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are again placing on record, and I discussed it with the Prime Minister, about the access to the Windsor Park, Madam Speaker. We recognize that it is a national stadium, but there was a historical, I would call it an urban culture, where people would come, people from Roso, would come after a game, sit, talk, socialization happen. We are saying that we need access under a proper management strategy, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in regards to, I was speaking earlier about the situation with the garbage, Madam Speaker. And this one I want to place on record that I spoke to the Prime Minister about a recycling project, Madam Speaker, in which we can reduce at least 80% of the material going to the dump if we are engaged in recycling, Madam Speaker. So that there, I just want to place it on the record. so that the people know, Madam Speaker. We are placing again on the record, Madam Speaker, through you, the business incubator. We know that All Saints is proposing or starting to engage a property in Warner. So we are saying if they can't leave by a certain time, I think the same committee we're talking about should be engaged to come up with proposals to see how we can ensure that these proper small business enterprises can be developed. And Madam Speaker, we are saying the Roso market, how many years we are talking about that? And people keep asking, where would we put the solar panels? Madam Speaker, you can put the solar panels on the financial center, on the market when you develop the market properly. You can put it, you have acres and acres of roof space in Roso, Madam Speaker. So it is feasible. It is just to have the will, and as we say, the time is now. So, Madam Speaker, I would like to say that we heard a lot mentioned about the small business unit. And we are saying on this side that across Dominica, we are saying that we are telling you to engage the government productively and take the money. But the problem there is, if you have a business that is supposed to cost $25,000 and somebody give you $5,000, it's not going to work. I remember last year, not last year, just before election, a gentleman came to me for advice. The government gave him some money, around $5,000 to set up a business. I told him, based on what he's telling me, it cannot really achieve its goal. It will not last. I'm sorry to say it didn't work, Madam Speaker. So I'm saying underfunding of business ideas and proposals will create failure and will not create the jobs that we're trying to create. Madam Speaker, I would like to end now, Madam Speaker. I would like to end by saying, Madam Speaker, I read the budget address by Honorable Pierre Charles, God bless his memory, 2002-2003. And he says on page 4, it is therefore no surprise, that is under recent economic performance. It is therefore no surprise, Madam Speaker, and no secret that recent economic performance has been characterized by low growth and over the past year, negative growth of 4.6%. I skip and I go to page 5 and he says, it was inevitable that the poor growth performance would reflect in public finances. Both foreign grants and the government savings decline. The poor public savings performance has been a consequence of both declining revenue and increasing expenditure by his government at the time. Madam Speaker, I would like now to say to the members on the other side, since they are the executive branch, I think that the budget has some good in it. I think also that
your
with
time
effective,
is up here, your last sentence.
yes, with effective implementation, we as Dominicans can all benefit once and for all. Let us keep positive in Dominica. Let us keep hope alive. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Go ahead.
Madam Speaker, I rise today as an extremely proud Dominican who feels honored and privileged to be sitting on this side of the House, serving under the direction of a phenomenal leader, Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. My Prime Minister, Dominica's Prime Minister and Minister for Finance. Indeed, Madam Speaker, I rise to lend my full and unwavering support to a progressive budget that presents a bold new plan that will continue the transformation of this local economy and put us on a better footing to be more competitive, all to realize the goal of this Dominica Labour Party government, which is a better standard of living for all, a better life for every Dominican. Madam Speaker, on July 27, 2017, Dominicans at home and abroad listened with great interest an expectation to that historic budget address by the Honorable Prime Minister, as he delivered with his usual eloquence and flair a budget that could only be described as another smasher. Another masterpiece, Madam Speaker, created by the Finance Minister to take our beautiful island to another level, building on the successes and accomplishments of previous years to the benefit of all. Madam Speaker, I describe the last budget as one filled with hope, a visionary plan once implemented that would benefit all of us. And I did so, Madam Speaker, as I saw the start of a new era. But today, Madam Speaker, with this new budget and a review of our past accomplishments, particularly over the last few years, that hope has turned to excitement. Excitement as I see unfolding right before my eyes a bold development plan of this Dominica Labour Party to modernize our beautiful island and continue to forge ahead to making Dominica better for all of us. Madam Speaker, I need to make an appointment to come in your chambers. I really need to familiarize myself with the standing orders of this House. There has to be some standing order to allow the opposition members to sit there after they gongade me, to sit and listen to me when I speak. You notice every time I speak, they're running out? Let them come back inside. I have to come and talk to you to find out whether there's a standing order to make them sit down. Have the Sergeant of Arms put them to sit down. Let them listen to what I have to say, Madam Speaker. It is not right. Madam Speaker, if for some reason I am not in the House, my phone is on listening to what they have to say. They need to sit and listen to me when I say to them, put the right wrong. Let him get up and go if he wants to get up and go, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I say to you that we are well on our way. And I say to you today, but Madam Speaker, let's be honest. Did we expect a different reaction? I certainly did not. Madam Speaker, I'm moving right along to my presentation, if that's okay. Madam Speaker, I say to you that we are well on our way. I say to you today that we are well on our way to transform this economy to realize a significant improvement in the standard of living of all Dominicans. And I say this against my backdrop of extensive experience of monitoring Caribbean economies. And Madam Speaker, the financial year 2017-18 budget address, after I heard it, I started to wonder, could the parliamentary opposition really counter such a well-crafted budget, articulating our bold move to success? And you know, I like to explain. By success, I mean additional facilities to finance the growth and expansion of yet another productive sector. A more strategic approach to our human resource development in line with national priorities. Investment in our people, Madam Speaker, especially our youth. Welcome back, gentlemen. I was missing you both. Sit down. Our focus on the health of our people, recognizing that the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. This is what I refer to as the successes of the budget. So, Madam Speaker, I ask myself, could anyone really challenge this budget? And if so, on what grounds? After all, Madam Speaker, a budget rebuttal ought to present an alternative, a better way to achieve the same economic success which will translate into the improvement in the lives of citizens. So, Madam Speaker, I eagerly awaited the rebuttal by the parliamentary opposition. Madam Speaker, if you saw me on Friday, shoulders upright and pen in hand, I ready to listen. But, Madam Speaker, alas, all I heard was the same old rhetoric. And I must say further, little to do with the budget presented the day before, Madam Speaker. I actually thought it was a tad amusing. following the second consecutive budget of this government, totally outside the box, making it practically impossible to challenge, the leader of the parliamentary opposition decided instead to present to us his manifesto. Madam Speaker, isn't that laughable? And to make matters worse, Madam Speaker, I am reliably informed that what we heard on July 28th was a repeat performance from the Honourable Member for the Marigot Constituency at the Arawak House of Culture on July 22, 2014 at 8 p.m. Madam Speaker, the last time I checked, the Arawak House of Culture, I started writing on Sunday morning at 9:30 in my office, just for your information. Madam Speaker, the last time I checked, the Arawak House of Culture was our premier location for the performance of the best plays in Dominica. Are we now bringing performances to this honorable house? Madam Speaker, I sure hope not. Madam Speaker, I guess in the minds of the opposition, this was just another election budget. I recall last year that's how it was described. And this year, the critics of the government are again saying this is another election budget. But Madam Speaker, that election taking long to call. I don't understand what's going on. Madam Speaker, these jokes are killing me in this house. Madam Speaker, permit me to speak directly to the rebuttal, if I can call it that, of the leader of the opposition. Madam Speaker, much to my alarm, the leader of the parliamentary opposition started by declaring in his first few minutes that, and I quote, that we had and I quote, a record of consistently achieving the worst economic performance results in the currency union. That's a little mouthful. I don't know who wrote that sentence. But what he's trying to say, Madam Speaker, is that what we do, our economic performance is not as good as anybody else in the currency union. And you know what I thought to myself? A joke that? The opposition leader, Madam Speaker, campaigned on a platform of economic mismanagement in 2014. And everybody in this honorable house knows how that ended. And I wish to remind the parliamentary opposition that this claim and notion that this Dominica Labour Party government mismanaged this local economy was decisively, absolutely, completely, and totally rejected by the polls, and Madam Speaker, in December 14. The honorable member here is looking and smiling because he's aware that the population rejected that notion of the opposition, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, you know how they should have known that? You know how every time in this house they should remember that? Because they're still sitting on the other side, Madam Speaker. They're still in opposition. 17 years and counting, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on reflection, I did not think the message could have been any clearer considering where they're sitting today. But Madam Speaker, just in case, I'll come to you in a while. But Madam Speaker, is the honorable member for the Roso Central Constituency nervous because I'm unelected and I'm going to put him straight, Madam Speaker? Is that what he's suggesting? That I should not stand here because I'm not elected? Is that what he's suggesting? Madam Speaker, I sure hope not, but I'll come to him a little later in my presentation. Just give me a couple of minutes.
I want you to be.
Madam Speaker, just in case it was somehow lost on them, I personally, as a new member of this House, during the debate on the overdraft for the fiscal year 2015-2016 debate, I took great pains to present economic statistics from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to prove and to demonstrate to this House and to the listening public that our local economy was in fact doing better than our neighboring countries. And I am advised, Madam Speaker, that the clip of that contribution was on the radio for more than 2 weeks. Yes. Could they have forgotten again, Madam Speaker? Masako Ponsa. Also, as recently as last week, the Honorable Prime Minister's budget address clearly stated that the Dominican economy had in fact expanded at a faster rate than the regional Eastern Caribbean Currency Union economy. I truly believe then, Madam Speaker, that this Labour Party administration had finally laid to rest that claim of a mismanaged economy. But unfortunately, there it was again in the rebuttal of the Honourable Member for the Marigot Constituency. So, Madam Speaker, I hope that I can finally dispel this incorrect, inaccurate, and misleading, silly notion that this is a mismanaged economy. And to do so, Madam Speaker, I'm not going to bore you with the data from 2015. I'm going to refer to statistics on the website of the Central Bank, which has been cited by the parliamentary opposition in the past. And Madam Speaker, when you look at the GDP estimates for 2016, the growth rate on the website for Dominica is 2.8%, Madam Speaker. The regional economy, the currency union as a whole, all of the 8 member countries, as a whole, they grew by 2.6%. Madam Speaker, only 3 economies grew faster than the region, and this country was one of them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, 5 economies grew slower than the average, and 1 was not Dominica. So, Madam Speaker, I say to you, relative to our neighbors, we are doing well, based on the statistics of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Madam Speaker. And this isn't what Miriam Blanchard is saying. This is what the statistics is saying to us. I say to you, Honourable Member for the Roso Central Constituency, don't shoot the messenger. Madam Speaker, also on the website is the medium-term growth forecast for the currency union. Based on that data, our local economy is expected to grow on average by 3.1% between 2017 and 2018. And Madam Speaker, you're probably wondering, how does that compare with the currency union? Based on the projections that I saw, we are expected to grow at the same rate as the currency union. Again, Madam Speaker, our economic performance is expected to outpace, that's using my economic lingo, our economic performance in 17 and 18 is expected to be better again than some of our member countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And again, I say, don't shoot the messenger.
That's right.
Madam Speaker, before moving off the economy, I would like to submit some additional statistics to disprove the gloom and doom painted by the Honourable Member for the Marigot Constituency in order to gain cheap political points. Yeah. 1, the money supply, M2. You say you're an economist, you know what M2 is. Money circulating in the economy. At the end of May 2017, M2 was $1.4 billion, Madam Speaker, in Dominica. And you know what it was at the end of January 2000? 519 million. Honourable Member, that was for you. We're comparing the 1.4 billion at the end of May 17 to the end of January 2000, 519 million. Yes, Madam Speaker, money in circulation increased by 15% over the past 3 years in Dominica, the highest growth for that period recorded in the currency union. Deposits held by the private sector, another indicator of economic activity, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, over the past 3 years, deposits in the banking system belonging to the private businesses rose by 41.2% to $257 million. Yes. Madam Speaker, do these people think we do not read? Madam Speaker, I've sat on the other side of the House and listened to lecture after lecture, people reading all kind of books from me that they read somewhere else. We went to school too over here. So when you suck then. Madam Speaker, I heard the Honourable Member today question statistics presented in the Honourable Prime Minister's budget address. The statistics he wanted to present today spoke to the stock of debt. Madam Speaker, as an economist myself, I am saying to you that the debt statistic that is usually used as a gauge of what's going on in the country is your debt to GDP ratio.
That's right.
Madam Speaker,
right.
I went back to the archives. There's a DA Vibes article that's quoting the current central bank governor, Timothy Antoine, when he addressed the DAIC annual general meeting on the 20th of July 2017. And this is what he said. He said that Dominica, this country's debt to GDP ratio, is now the lowest in the currency union at 67.2%. Madam Speaker,
Take notes.
Madam Speaker, 67.6% compared to an average of 72.5%. But these people on the other side of the house prefer to look for statistics that would paint their own country that they claim to love in a bad light. All of the positive indicators they would pretend not to see, but we get into some more of them, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, one of the reasons that we've been able to do this, this Dominica Labour Party government has been able to reduce that debt to GDP ratio is because unlike the time of the UWP government, we are not doing debt financing. The economic citizenship program that this side of the house tried to destroy has helped us to finance our expenditures without accumulating debt, especially considering in your time when it was at commercial rates. Explain that to the Dominican public, my dear. Madam Speaker, the subject of the trade deficit is certainly a hot topic. Madam Speaker, to begin with, the trade account of the balance of payments cannot be discussed and reviewed in isolation. I will not go into the technical parts of it, but I'm sure the economists on the other side of the house will explain to you what that means. But let's take it simple. On a simple note, I want to point out to critiques my observation when I was doing research for my contribution. When I looked at the external account of the balance of payments, Madam Speaker, the trade account is part of your balance of payments, your external account. So I looked at the balance of payments because all of this story about our trade deficit so big. Madam Speaker, let me tell you what was interesting. I noted what the other side noted as well, which was that domestic exports had in fact fallen. But Madam Speaker, even more significant in the external account was the increase in tourism earnings. Madam Speaker, in case they don't know, let the economists tell them that tourism is an export. We are exporting tourism services to the rest of the world. And let me share with you the data that I have, Madam Speaker, again from the website of the Central Bank. In 1995, domestic exports was $117.5 million. And how much was tourism earnings? 135.7. So even then, we saw that tourism earnings was higher. In 2000, domestic exports 137.5, tourism earnings 152.1. Madam Speaker, let's move fast. In 2016, according to the balance of payments table on the website, tourism earnings in this country was $634.95 million. What is the big fuss about domestic exports? Right. We have another source of income of earning foreign exchange, and based on the statistics in the external account, we are doing extremely well. Yeah. We need to stop. Yes, Madam Speaker, it's time we remove politics from economics. I recall one day on my way to St. Kitts, I was going to St. Kitts to work. Everybody knew that I worked in the region. My flight from Barbados was there. They did a RAM transfer. I got on the flight. Everybody was sitting on the plane ready to go. The only seat was next to the current leader of the parliamentary opposition, my old friend, you know, from then. Anyway, we start to talk. Oh, this and that. I said, listen, I'm a macroeconomist by training. I speak about numbers. Or what we call in economics anecdotal evidence. Pani dimwe, oh, things are bad, this happened. I said, no, let's look at the numbers. This is how I roll, Madam Speaker, I'm an economist. I spent many years trying to fine-tune my profession. This is what the numbers are saying. We cannot take numbers in isolation and keep misleading the people of this country. It is not right. Madam Speaker, I have heard this suggestion, and that was last night. And I heard it again from the honorable member for the Roso Central Constituency, claiming it was Economics 101. Madam Speaker, allow me to educate you on Economics 101 Part 2. Madam Speaker, he's claiming that the strong growth in this economy was only because we were in a rehabilitation mode. Let me make this clear once and for all, Madam Speaker. He's right. We are in rehabilitation mode. But how was this growth financed? This growth was not financed from debt. This growth was financed from own funds pillar, from own funds, as we say in economics, from revenue generated from the Citizenship by Economics investment program. So, Madam Speaker, what does that mean? That means, had we not, honorable member, you're disturbing me. So, Madam Speaker, I want through you to say to him that because the funds were available to finance the reconstruction, if we did not have to undertake reconstruction, this forward-thinking government would have used those same resources to build a more robust infrastructure to facilitate our development. So don't come with this foolish story about Economics 101. Take your time and do your research, honorable member. So, Madam Speaker, the data, Madam Speaker, I am sure all of us in this honorable house today, including our dear police officers, we all agree one thing, that the data that I just spoke about paints a completely different picture than what we heard from the other side of the house. And Madam Speaker, it wasn't my data. It wasn't my data. Madam Speaker, like I said, it is high time we remove politics from economics. This is our island to build, and opposing for the sake of opposing is not constructive behavior. Shame on those economists on the other side of the house who refuse to make those same points and bring those same numbers to the attention of your honorable leader. Shame on you. Madam Speaker, I sure hope now that I have buried this notion of economic mismanagement, and they were distracted, so I'm going to say it again. Madam Speaker, I sure hope now that I have successfully buried the notion of economic mismanagement of this country. And I say, and it was about time.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I want to take a few minutes to point out something in this house. This house is about serious business. The business of the people who elected the parliamentary representatives on both sides of the house. And I think it is important that we keep this in mind and keep our contributions real. Yep. I submit to you, Madam Speaker, that these generalizations, innuendos, and suggestions that I keep hearing from the other side of the house are not for this chamber. If we are to engage in constructive and productive discussions, we need to put in the time to do our research and ensure the validity of the points that we are going to make instead of these absurd declarations. I say that these fanciful statements, devoid of fact, should not be repeated in this honorable house, as it only serves to mislead the very people we are here to represent, Madam Speaker. And here I'm referring to statements like, quote, the economy is on remote control. Another one, the Dominican economy following years of neglect by the Roosevelt-Kerry-led administration. Madam Speaker, as we've heard in the few minutes I've been standing here, there's absolutely no basis in fact for these statements. And I hope finally that this nonsensical notion will be put to rest. Yes. Madam Speaker, I was intrigued once more when I heard the contribution for the honorable member for the Marigot constituency. Another laundry list of items that should have been included in the budget. As is now customary for that honorable member, he merely lists those in his usual casual manner. And I say to this honorable House, this is not how a budget is prepared. And I share my humble opinion, Madam Speaker, as an economist charged with the responsibility of working on macroeconomic frameworks for more than a decade in this region. So, Madam Speaker, I challenge the leader of the opposition to state, one, how would the many initiatives that he bravely articulates be financed and implemented, considering his first budget rebuttal, which centered around the need to reduce debt levels, which we have, the need to not introduce new taxes. Madam Speaker, we heard in the budget address, come January, people are going to be paying less taxes, as well against the backdrop that he says we're not able to attract many grants as we did before. Recall, Madam Speaker, when you're looking at the budget, if you want to add more on one line, the same amount must come out from another line. Otherwise, you will not balance and have the same overall position. And that is basic maths, right, Honorable Member for the Roso Central Constituency? Madam Speaker, I say to you that budgets are about numbers. And the members on the other side of the House are well aware of this. Yet they come in here with their fanciful speeches seeking to reintroduce the rest of us to the basics of our economic days or our university days when we get in lectures. This new economics that I'm being exposed to in this parliament, with persons speaking from the top of the head, saying all what they want and no indication on how it's going to be financed, I say to you that is absolutely ridiculous for 2017. Madam Speaker, the leader of the parliamentary opposition should not be allowed to engage or pretend to present a budget rebuttal with absolutely no numbers. That is not acceptable in my opinion. This is tantamount to cheating. And Madam Speaker, before they go and misquote me, I said tantamount to cheating because a budget is about numbers. You know, people take your words and twist it. I make sure I explain it myself well. There was no clear indication from him of exactly what is being proposed and how his initiatives that he's proposing would affect the macroeconomic framework on which the budget was crafted. I dare say to the honorable member that he should state clearly to the Dominican public whether we should suspend, our new favorite word, plans to increase the allocations for pharmaceuticals to assist our growing number of cancer patients. Or maybe he's suggesting that we reduce the number of students who receive financial assistance at all levels. Or perhaps he's thinking, Madam Speaker, that we should remove the higher allocation for road maintenance, or maybe the additional funds allocated for tourism promotion, or reduce the credit facility to expand and support the manufacturing sector. Or could he be implying, Madam Speaker, that we should cut back on the NEP and social programs? He needs to be more specific and stop speaking in a vacuum, I say, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, all of the new initiatives carefully crafted and presented in this year's budget to transform our economy and the lives of Dominicans will be, in large part, thanks to the success of Dominica's Citizenship by Investment program. I have one for you, you better come back. Through great effort and personal commitment of the Finance Minister and member for the Vacas constituency, Dominica's Citizenship by Investment program is ranked at the very top of the industry. And before I go further, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister as a citizen of this country for his amazing strength, foresight, and wisdom that has brought us to this point, Madam Speaker. The top of the CBI program, thus allowing this Dominica Labour Party government to build a beautiful country while looking after the vulnerable in our society. Madam Speaker, I say to you today that it is because of the CBI program, the success of the CBI program, that for the first time in the history of Dominica, we are truly independent. And I say so because this is the first time under this Dominica Labour Party administration, under the direction of a visionary leader, Dr. the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, that we can boast of our ability to raise sufficient funds to finance the operations of this country. Madam Speaker, one would have thought that this was a reason to celebrate as a country. Instead, I hear some in this chamber lament that the proceeds from the CBI program was going to fund more than 60% of the capital budget. I tell you, it's only jokes I hear, in this House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, are these people for real? Would they prefer that we went back to the days of the UWP government and instead borrowed on commercial terms to fund our capital program? We need to get real again, I say to us. It is time to remove politics from economics. Madam Speaker, we are well aware as a government of the fragility and how fragile that CBI program is. And as such, this forward-thinking, proactive government has been very strategic in the spending of those funds. You may recall, Madam Speaker, that the central bank governor in January during his visit to Dominica publicly endorsed the government's use of the CBI funds to finance major capital works. In a nutshell, Madam Speaker, this is how the CBI is being used to stimulate economic activity and allow us to meet our development goals. The funds are being used to support real economic growth through expansion in all the productive sectors of the economy. We are building a resilient network of roads and bridges that can withstand the effects of increasingly severe weather conditions while facilitating the expansion in our productive sectors, reflecting our firm belief that our people are our most important resource. The CBI funds are being used to educate the youth and make our labor force more productive so that we can reap the sweet fruits of education for many years to come. CBI funds are also being used to provide assistance to the small business sector to create an entrepreneurial spirit or culture among our young people. Lastly, but certainly not least, this caring government is also allocating funds to care for the elderly and the indigent in our society to ensure that everyone benefits. And you know what was amusing too, Madam Speaker? After the relatively failed attempts of the leader of the parliamentary opposition to derail the development agenda by his calculated and callous remarks on the 60 Minutes program, he's now trying to claim responsibility for the success of this Dominica Labour Party's new focus of the CBI. Did you hear what the parliamentary opposition leader said in his thing? He claimed, and I quote, "The so-called real estate option of the CBI is the Gracetown Lyre River model introduced under the Dominica Freedom Party, and the cash option under which revenues for the sale of passports come into the Treasury is the re-engineered economic citizenship model introduced by the United Workers' Party," end quote. Madam Speaker, he goes on to claim, I quote, "There has been no innovation," end quote. Madam Speaker, I think the honorable member was clearly trying to entertain us, and I say to him, mission accomplished. Madam Speaker, I say to the honorable member that he should back up his claim and place on record the number of five-star hotels that were negotiated or built during the UWP government's reign. Until such time, Madam Speaker, I humbly suggest that he removes this line from his presentation. My dear Parrep will take the message to him, I hope. What I challenge the honorable member to do, after his own admittance of a sterling contribution made by the proceeds of the CBI program, is to issue a public apology to the people of Dominica for his reckless, careless, and irresponsible words aired on the 60-minute program, Madam Speaker, which placed, and I say so because those words of his were placed in the context of a story that could only serve to hurt a program which has brought us much success and prosperity. Madam Speaker, I eagerly await that apology. I urge the honorable member to take his role a little more seriously. This is the same country he hopes to lead one day, God forbid. How then, after he destroys it, will he be able to do anything with it? These questions need to be answered, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me now to move quickly to switch my contribution to the allocation to the Ministry of Public Works and Ports, my current portfolio. In fiscal year 2017-18, $130 million is allocated to the public sector investment program for my ministry. And I say to you that this is further proof of the strategic manner in which this Labour Party government is going about implementing its development program. No government can truly pursue its development objectives while ignoring the need to prioritize the development of a resilient network of roads and bridges. Madam Speaker, once again, this government is well on its way to achieving its objectives. One would note that unlike budgets in the past, the majority of the funds to finance this capital program is coming from the Citizenship by Investment program. So I say to you, there is nothing standing in our way. I say to you that one way to foster economic growth is through the accelerated implementation of a country's PSIP, Public Sector Investment Program. Having already established the greatest responsibility that rests with the Ministry of Public Works and Ports, which I am honored to lead, permit me to spend just a few minutes explaining the correlation between expenditure on the physical infrastructure and economic growth. I too can try a lecture, or you will lecture too. The role of infrastructure in economic development is well chronicled. We can all relate to the importance of transportation, roads, bridges, air and seaports, water, communication in our daily lives, and how access to them can enhance our standard of living. In the case of the economy, improvements in the road network or seaports, for example, will go a long way in enhancing productivity and, by extension, competitiveness, allowing businesses to be more profitable and ultimately contribute more to the economy. In addition, there are many examples in the literature that show that investments in a country's physical infrastructure increases its ability to attract foreign direct investment. As a result, this Labour Party government continues to place emphasis on the development of our infrastructure as we seek to reduce poverty and improve the standard of living of citizens. And a member on the other side of the House made that same point. But I know he's heard me say it 50 times before, so I just say to him, I'm glad he's on board with it as well. Madam Speaker, cognizant of all of this, this Labour government in its usual methodical and strategic manner will continue to prioritize the development of a resilient network of roads and bridges across the entire island. Allow me now to present some of our flagship projects presented in the fiscal year 2017-18 budget. Madam Speaker, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anybody in this honorable House that the first flagship project that I will discuss today is this Labour Party government's Roso enhancement project. This project was presented to the people of Dominica in 2014 And what it was our plan to modernize the city of Roso and the town of Portsmouth. This major project, which has now moved from the first phase with the construction and commissioning of the new state-of-the-art West Bridge, provides just a glimpse, Madam Speaker, of what our new Roso will look like. Believe me when I say to you, Madam Speaker, that our drive to transform the city of Roso has just begun. Serious about the development of this country, we recognize the need to improve its appearance of the capital city as a means of attracting foreign direct investment and to assist us in our efforts to increase what we call the conversion factor, which is really enticing cruise ship visitors to return as long stay or stay over visitors, Madam Speaker. So I note the comments on this by the Senator Baptiste, which I'm sure, like I said, he's heard me say many times. You've heard me say so many times, so at least we agree on something. Madam Speaker, we heard in the budget address that the construction of the river walls from the EC Low Black Bridge to the market is scheduled for this financial year. Additional dredging of the Roso River will also be done to prevent or mitigate flooding. And an allocation of $4.1 million is budgeting for those two aspects of that project. In fact, Madam Speaker, the first section from the new West Bridge towards the EC Low Black Bridge will begin in August. And why are we doing this, Madam Speaker? We are doing it to protect the residents and businesses on that side of the river, as well as to improve the aesthetic appeal of that area as we modernize our city of Roso. But Madam Speaker, I don't recall hearing the parliamentary representative for the Roso Central Constituency speak to that project, a project that is going to benefit his constituency. Maybe he missed it, Madam Speaker. Also in the new financial year is the rehabilitation of 3 major streets: Independence Street, King George V Street, Great George Street, and part of River Street in the city of Roso. Welcome back, Honorable Member. I wanted you to hear this part of my presentation. You referred to, in your contribution, you made the point that the $1 million allocated for urban renewal was not sufficient. And I say to you, through Madam Speaker, that you should probably have spent a little more time going through the budget estimates. Had you done so, you would have realized that $8.2 million allocation was made for that project under the Ministry of Public Works and Ports. I've never seen that expression from him. I don't know about you all. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I think I've spoken so much about that, Mr. Speaker, about that project. I don't think I need to go into any more. Suffice to say that we are now soliciting feedback from stakeholders based on the designs that we currently have for that project. Madam Speaker, I want to take the opportunity to also respond to Senator Baptiste, who stated, Mr. Speaker, forgive me, I always get confused. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to the senator who stated yesterday that 3 streets per year in his mind were not acceptable, and acceptable is clearly my terminology. As he said, it would take 15 years to complete the entire city of Roso. You see why I wanted you to sit there? Even if I was not in the house, I listened to your presentation. I listened to your presentation, even if I was not in this house. Madam Speaker, I say to the Honorable Mr. Speaker, to the Honorable members through you, that as one of the economists in the House, I want you to make your recommendation count. But in order to do so, you need to put numbers to that recommendation to see how it fits back in the framework. And like I said before, if we were to start additional streets, how is it going to be financed? What are you suggesting we delay? Do we delay the facility to the manufacturing sector? What is it that we're going to delay? This is a budget discussion. We are not discussing a manifesto in a political arena. We are discussing a budget, and a budget is about numbers, I say to you. But, Mr. Speaker, be assured that this Labour government is going to remain focused on the task at hand and will not be distracted, Mr. Speaker. As stated by the Honourable Prime Minister, this government remains committed to improving the road network in the east-southeast of the island. Also, we heard a lot during the Prime Minister's speech of the Lubia to Bacatel project, which is going to be financed through grant funding and the generosity of the government of the United Kingdom. That project, we got details in the budget speech, started in April of this year with the signing of a contract to begin a feasibility study, as well as that will lead then to designs of various interventions along that road. Mr. Speaker, I want to also thank the residents of those who came to the town hall meetings. During a Labour Party town hall meeting in March in Pishley, I said to residents that as the Minister for Public Works and Ports, one of the things that I've realized is the importance of getting feedback from people, from the main stakeholders. And I want to report here today that all of our town hall meetings were well attended, and I want to thank all of those who attended for sharing their experiences with us and with the consultants working on that project. Madam Speaker, in the east of the island, work is going to continue. In fact, we expect to accelerate work, ending the project called the B envelope by the end of the year. In the Layu area, the reconstruction of the York Valley Bridge is nearing completion. This project, a gift from the government of the People's Republic of China. And I would like to place on public record once more my sincere appreciation and that of the government and people of Dominica for this kind of gift. The project will be completed by year end. The technical staff of the ministry has just approved the designs submitted by a consultant for the rehabilitation of road, including river defenses from the Hills Road Bridge to the York Valley Bridge. Designs for the section of road from the York Valley Bridge to Port Cassay is going to begin shortly. Also in that area, a contract valued at $5.8 million was recently signed to rehabilitate the E.O. LeBlanc Highway and construct river defenses west of the Hillsborough Bridge located on the north bank of the Layu River. With respect to the Layu Emergency Shelter Resource Center, I expect that that contract will be awarded this month in August, and work should begin shortly. Madam Speaker, to avert a collapse of a section of road on the Gillett-Penville Road, work on a retaining wall commenced during the last financial year, and that work is expected to continue, and an allocation of $2 million was made for this. Madam Speaker, the parliamentary representative for the Margot constituency spoke of a dam bridge. I do not know the location of any dam bridge, but that's what he said, you wondered him. And I have to... Madam Speaker, because I expected them to pretend like I'm being unparliamentary, I went through great pains yesterday to get a copy of his speech to make sure that he didn't just say dam, it was really in the printed text. Madam Speaker, it's a dam bridge, he said in the text.
There is an area called dam.
Well, I don't know.
It just doesn't have an N.
Well, all I know, Madam Speaker, all I can say is I don't know about any dam bridge. I don't know where no dam bridge located. I will, however, say to the member, that a contract was signed in the amount of $820,000 for the rehabilitation of a bridge crossing at Mango Hole in Margot. That's a bridge I know about. I am advised that work on that bridge will start this month. To address the wave overtopping challenge, an allocation of $8 million was made in the budget. And Madam Speaker, the plan was to speak this afternoon, but for some reason I stood up early. The plan was to have in my hand a copy of the tender document for that project to say to the honorable member for the Margot constituency and those people in the neighboring communities who are affected by the wave overtopping challenge, that we are serious about addressing it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on this note, I want to thank those affected for their patience and understanding as we work towards implementing this project. To support the initiatives of the government to boost output in the agricultural sector, unlike what we've heard, Madam Speaker, I forgot that one, I forgot to point out that even if people saying on the other side of the House, the members rather on the other side of the House, claiming that we've ignored agriculture, the same statistics from the central bank showing strong growth in agriculture, eh? People need to start calling and speaking the truth. So I explained that, you were not listening then. Madam Speaker, our focus to introduce, to develop the infrastructure for agriculture in this ministry is in the form of the rehabilitation of farm access roads, and an allocation of $4 million under the BAM Feeder Road project has been made. Also, Madam Speaker, we have another $2.8 million for the Cowham Feeder Road, which I'm sure farmers of St. Joseph, Mero, Layu, and neighboring communities are pleased about their progress, I'm told. And in addition, we have $500,000 to rehabilitate approximately 40 meters of the $500,000, for a section of the Makaton and Mopo feeder roads, Madam Speaker. That contract was signed recently. Madam Speaker, quickly through the Roso Valley, we recognize its importance to the economic sustainability of this island as a nucleus of the tourism product. And because of this, understanding is your bread and butter, Dr. McIntyre. As a result, we're going to forge ahead with the development of a modern network of roads and bridges for you to ensure the safety of your people as well as to protect their livelihoods. And because of that, you can see it in the budget. Emergency works at Cabernet, we have $1.1 million. I saw some lovely pictures on Sunday showing how the residents of that area are beautifying the area. Congratulations to the honorable member. Madam Speaker, an allocation of $3.75 million made for the retaining walls in Cabernet. Coptal Walls in Waven Road rehab, an additional $2 million. Also, the continuation of the Watson Waven Road rehab that we started under the last financial year. One phase had not begun, so that amount of $0.8 million is still available. Cochrane Road, $5.1 million. And the project at Providence in Loda, we signed a contract a couple of weeks ago for $1.6 million, and work is progressing, Madam Speaker. On the outskirts of the city, allocations were made for the following projects. Pafeset Emsol Bridge, $3.6 million. The Ophelia Reconstruction Rehabilitation, as presented in the budget, is really a section of road from the foot of the back road in Goodwill Back Road in Bath Estate up towards the Silver Lake area, which was affected by Tropical Storm Ophelia. Madam Speaker, it took us a long time. I think it took us too long, but I am happy to report that that project finally went out to tender after just receiving it from the consultants. And I expect that responses are going to be in by August 28th, and work will begin soon thereafter once we meet all of the requirements stipulated by the Caribbean Development Bank, because this project will be loan financed. Meanwhile, Madam Speaker,
You have 5 minutes left.
Speaker, I move that the Honorable Minister. Madam Speaker, I move that the Honorable Minister for Public Works, Sports and Infrastructure be given an additional 15 minutes to complete her presentation.
Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Minister be given a further 15 minutes to complete her contribution. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Continue, please.
thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, after talking about that Ophelia Reconstruction Rehabilitation Project, I want to say to the citizens and residents of that area that we have not forgotten them. And what we are currently doing over the last 2 weeks, we have commenced the dredging and retraining of that Roso River in that area away from the road edge failure in order to secure that part of the road. Rehabilitation of Emsall Road, 0.7 million. Eggleston Road, 0.5, and Mount Bruce of 500,000. I have been advised this morning before coming here that the tender documents the initial numbers for Mount Bruce designs should be finished, Madam Speaker, by the end of this week. So I'm excited to report that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we forge ahead in building a new and modern Dominica, our street lighting program will be accelerated with the installation of solar street lights. Madam Speaker, all of those who travel around the country are aware that sections of our road are in fact in need of improved lighting. With the availability of solar street lights, thanks to the government of the People's Republic of China, work will continue in order to ensure the safety and security of our road users. So, Madam Speaker, that was one of the things I expected to get a clap from the Honorable Senator Baptiste. Instead, I hear him knocking down my project. You hear, Vex? Madam Speaker, this is the same senator who has stood in this house time and time again talking of the importance of tourism. So minus the fact that we're doing it not just for the tourists, but also for the visitors to be safe, he who keeps talking about tourism, knocking something that's going to benefit the tourism industry, we have to get our facts right, Madam Speaker. We either promoting tourism development and facilitating its expansion, or we are not. Disappointed in you, Honorable Member. Absolutely disappointed in you. Madam Speaker, in spite of what he said, we have 7 lots on the E.O. LeBlanc Highway and the Nicholas Liverpool Highway of 120 solar lights. 7 lots of 120. So I'm so sorry. We are modernizing Dominica, whether you're on board or not. Madam Speaker, an allocation of 5 million was made for river dredging. We all know the importance of river dredging to ensuring safety of life and property, so I don't even think I need to go into that anymore. Madam Speaker, I know my power rep said he couldn't wait for me to talk. And I know he didn't, and I know I shouldn't tell people that. Madam Speaker, following my last contribution in the House, I wish to confirm that the Roso North is getting its piece of the pie. Madam Speaker, if you see projects in that constituency, even a blind man can see. Madam Speaker, we will soon begin a program to eradicate pit latrines. And I'm sure the parrot is aware, even if he didn't mention it in this honorable House. $200,000, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in June 2017, work on the rehabilitation of Charles Avenue in Goodwill began. We know Charles Avenue is a primary artery to the Princess Margaret Hospital, and it's important for all of us in Dominica. Madam Speaker, that project is at a cost of 3.1 million and is expected to be completed by mid-November. And Madam Speaker, just in case the member for the Roso North constituency is wondering, I did keep my promise to have people from Roso North employed on that project. Madam Speaker, you should take a drive to that area to see how this one is progressing. I noticed the representative did not speak about it, so I'll speak about it. Madam Speaker, if you see work on Charles Avenue, I'm not sure I've seen another project on this island move so quickly. I've explained to the contractor that this is an important road leading to the National Hospital, and no effort should be spared to ensure that that project is delivered on time or before schedule, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, works on the rehabilitation of the Stock Farm Road has accelerated. Madam Speaker, the Public Works Corporation has a contract for that project, and that contract is worth $3.2 million. Madam Speaker, this morning there were lovely pictures circulating showing the asphalting of a section of that road as work is progressing. I have personally asked the Chief Technical Officer in my ministry to personally look to that project to ensure that it is going well. Madam Speaker, I am looking out for Roso North. Madam Speaker, like I said, if you see projects in that constituency, in one day, I got 2 different messages from 2 different people telling me how impressed they were with the number of projects going on in Roso North. And people and persons will come in here and say that Roso North is not getting anything. That's not proper English, but forgive me. Madam Speaker, listen to this one. This one is a special view for you, the honorable member of the Roso North constituency. Another flagship project in the budget is a national multi-purpose sports complex. And as I have said in this honorable house, I am a proud member of Roso North constituency. So imagine my disgust and irritation when I heard Senator Baptiste on July 6th, was it, say on a panel on Q95 that he didn't think that the State College or that project should be in the locations they are and that it was poor planning. And Madam Speaker, he had the gall to repeat it again yesterday. But that is not what irked me, you know. You know what irked me even more? Was that my parep, who is supposed to be representing the interests of people in Roso North, did not find a reason to defend the location of those projects, especially after your proud constituent said to the people of Roso North, this is an opportunity. This is... I have one for him on planning, but I'm not ready for it yet, so kite sala. Leave that alone. If you know what's good for you and the member, leave that alone. We someone do? Kite sala do. Kite sala. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I took such time to excite the people of Roso North about being a center for sports and education. And here it is that the parliamentary representative did not see it fit to represent these people and their interests and say to the honorable member, it happened already, but this is good for my constituency and these are the benefits they can get. So, Madam Speaker, on behalf of the people of Roso North, I am doing it. I need another couple though. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I started to think back on my exchange with the honorable member for Roso North. And Madam Speaker, I'm not trying to diss my parep, you know. My parep probably know me longer than any of all you in here. I grew up across the street from his aunt, so he probably know me little so. But Madam Speaker, when I realized he didn't respond, and he did not lend a voice for the people of Roso North, I said, but wait, how this man representing people now? What kind of style of representation is that? So, Madam Speaker, I had to think. I remember that the day after I spoke the last time in the House, some people from Roso North come and tell me they see the leader of the opposition park outside his house at 6 a.m. I joke that. You don't listen to that? That's just gossip. So I think, let's move on. But then I heard that the entire hierarchy of the United Workers' Party came down on my parep and put him to sit down and give him a good shake-up. Ask him how you could give Miriam the opportunity to inform everybody, especially Roso North residents, of the tremendous work being undertaken by the Dominica Labour Party in that area. They asked him, what were you thinking? Introducing Miriam to every resident of Roso North. They blamed him. They blamed him for what they termed a tactical error. And tell him, why you go and bother the lady the one day she eat pepper for lunch? And why give her that opportunity? So, Madam Speaker, you know what they tell him? Boy, just go and fix your thing. They send him back in Roso North. Madam Speaker, I hear he even get lost in Tarish Pit. So long he haven't gone to Roso North. Madam Speaker, moving fast forward and very quickly, Madam Speaker, when he went back in the constituency, he realized two Labour can travail. Everywhere Labour is working. Ian, I need another, honorable member, I need another 5 minutes, please. I have to finish this one. Douglas, Ian, just give me 5 minutes.
10, you have another, it was 10 and then you got 15, that's 25. So you have 10 minutes left.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, Madam Speaker, everywhere he go, he realized that this Dominica Labour Party working. So, Madam Speaker, the next time he see me, you know what my power rep tell me?
10 and 15.
You do a good job, Miriam. You do a good job. Let me tell you, honorable member for Roso Central, you know what I did? I couldn't reach my car fast enough for me to write it down. I so didn't want to forget the words. I got endorsed by my parliamentary representative. I am proud of that. My parliamentary representative has realized he's walked away from all you and the untruths. He's distancing himself from that nonsense. He is now standing as a good Christian and calling a spade a spade. Congratulations to the honorable member. But, Madam Speaker, sometimes I was wondering, you know, with all of that going on, I wondered, was my parliamentary representative when he was gongading me the last time, was that taunting me, sorry? I just
Taunting. Okay.
Taking
How
up
is
my
she doing?
time. So I corrected myself, taunting. You prefer that word, Parem? When he was taunting me the last time, I wondered whether that was a silent plea for help. Remember, he know me long time. Yeah. So he probably felt a little more comfortable coming to me and saying, girl, we can't do this, you know. This too much for me. This constituency big. I can't get no impact there on my own. Your Labour Party people, all you need to help me out. He probably couldn't go to Roosevelt Skerrit and tell him that. So I think that was his subtle little way. I think that was his subtle little way of saying to me to help. And Madam Speaker, as the Honorable Prime Minister said at the town hall in Roso North, this is a government for everyone. As you can tell of what's going on in Roso North constituency. And Madam Speaker, that said, we will continue to take up the slack and represent the people of the Roso North constituency. Parab, don't worry, we're looking after the people of Roso North constituency. Madam Speaker, I'm just remembering something. A mutual friend of mine and the honorable member for the Roso Central constituency called me after the last budget. Remember, I told the honorable member he should do what I do when I come, stay up and prepare my presentation and make sure it's on point. I remember he came for sterling performance the next day. Congratulations to him. But hear what he went and tell our mutual friend. Oh, I put Miriam on the spot. Tell her she should come with indicators. Madam Speaker, like him, before my appointment, my entire career was at the regional level. But I want to say to him, I have made the adjustment. I have made the adjustment to the practical world. I now understand that in my role as a senator and a minister in this Labour Party government, my interest is serving the people of Dominica. So let me tell you what my indicators are. You know what my indicators are now? How people live, the number of people impacted by the projects, if people are safe on the roads as a Minister of Public Works. I humbly suggest that you move away from your textbook as an elected parliamentary representative and rearrange your priorities, honorable member. But then again, what they say, Madam Speaker, you ain't hear the song? The song say, Robbie, Roso is yours. I can't sing. Madam Speaker, before my time run out, I want to take the opportunity to thank the staff of the Ministry of Public Works and Ports. We have just ended a long and challenging period, and I want to thank them for their continued commitment as I look forward to that same commitment as we move forward. Madam Speaker, as I look at the new financial year, I proudly accept the challenge to implement such a large program. and take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his continued trust in me, while thanking all of my parliamentary colleagues for their usual support. With these few words, Madam Speaker, I give my full support to the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and this year's creative and impactful budget. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I move that this honorable House be suspended until 3:45 p.m. 3:45 p.m.
It has been seconded? Seconded? Okay. It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House be suspended until 3:45 p.m. this afternoon. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This honorable House stands suspended until 3:45 p.m. this afternoon.